3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to a Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and as always, streaming on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN. That's 888-710-4ISN. 4476 is the number to jump on in. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Chris Beard, the men's head basketball coach at Ole Miss with the Rebels. He's going to join us coming up an hour from now at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Ole Miss is dancing into the Sweet 16, where we will see Chris Beard go up against Tom Izzo, a little Ole Miss up against Sparty Party with the Michigan State basketball program. So looking forward to reconnecting with Chris Beard on the show 59 minutes from now. I got to start the show off today talking about the NFL draft. And yesterday, I was doing some food shopping. I had to do a light food shopping order, and I had to get a few things for the dinner that I was making last night before my fantasy baseball draft. And while I'm in the supermarket waiting to check out, I'm perusing Twitter because I'm online, right? Waiting to put the groceries on the belt and then get them scanned and then walk on out of the store. And I see this tweet, and it's a photo of Coach Prime. And the tweet was from Marshall Green of Chat Sports. And it says, Deion Sanders at the ProMat 2025 conference, quote, "We are hoping for New York," close quotes. And then underneath it says, Shedeur wants to be a Giant with the question mark. So I saw that, and I'm like, no offense to Marshall Green, but let's see if anyone else posts it. And then one after another, after another, after another, after another, it is all over my timeline. So I'm seeing this comment by Coach Prime, our friend to show, Coach Prime. And I saw that Coach Prime is saying that they're hoping for New York. So my immediate take when I heard that was Coach Prime knows that the Browns aren't taking his son. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's 100% clear. And I think the Cleveland Browns should take Shedeur Sanders with the number 2 overall pick. And I do think the general census is that Cam Ward is going number 1 to Tennessee. But if this was true, and I'll get to it in a second, why it may not be true, and you have Coach Prime at a conference saying we're hoping for New York, that is him issuing the shot of Cleveland, we don't want you. And then also, it could be him saying, we know that Cleveland isn't taking Shedeur. They're either going with Abdul Carter or they're going with Travis Hunter. So let's start to push the third team available, which would be the Giants, because I think a lot of rational people know Cam Ward's going 1. I think the draft really starts at 2. Now, maybe Tennessee trades the pick and you have the Giants move up to 1. But when I heard this, or I saw it, because there's no audio of this, there's no video of it, and I just read that Coach Prime is saying we're hoping for New York, I really thought one way or another, Coach Prime was either trying to get the Browns not to draft his son, or he kind of got the heads up or the feeling that the first 2 picks are going to go and Shedeur Sanders not going to be taken in the first 2 picks. And we know the Giants are in desperate need for a quarterback because they have Jameis Winston. They got Tommy DeVito, get the chicken cutlets out. But they're not going to get Aaron Rodgers. And Joe Shane can't afford to go into the season with Jameis Winston as his big grand plan on what is the last make-or-break year for Joe Shane. So I didn't think much about it after that. I really walked into the office today and I thought to myself, Shedeur Sanders is going to be a New York football Giant. That's what I thought. I still think that. But then as we're getting ready for the show, Darryl Ryder, who does a great job covering the Cleveland Browns for one of our Odyssey affiliates, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, he put this out from Instagram. Deion Sanders. Now, let me just tell you something, Darryl. You should be more respectful to Coach Prime, and you should be a believer. It should be Coach Prime, not Deion Sanders. But from Instagram, his words, not mine, Deion Sanders refutes a rumor posted on X that he said last week at a conference they prefer Shedeur ended up with the Giants. And this was the comment by my pal, Coach Prime. In all caps, this is a lie. Then back to not going all capital letters. We're thankful for whatever God chooses for them. So, I'm not saying this was not said, because I haven't heard it yet. I haven't seen it yet. And just because a coach comes on out and says, oh, I was taken out of context, or this is a lie, I never said that, doesn't mean you didn't say it. But I think the big nugget here from Daryl's tweet is that this conference was last week. Now, are there things that take a while to get out? Yes. But once this post is made, you're telling me, and this blows up at about, I don't know, I was checking out of the supermarket at 6:30 yesterday, 6:45. You're telling me from 6:45 p.m. Eastern time last night, when this thing was really blowing up, to right now as we currently sit here, 6 minutes past 3 o'clock here on the East Coast, that no one could find this video from the conference? You know, what is this? Like when you go to the Comedy Cellar and they tell you have to put your phone in a bag and it's, zipped and you have no access to it? Come on. You're at a conference. So if this audio or video exists, I'd be very surprised if it doesn't come to light. And if Coach Prime is on there, and who knows, maybe he was asked a question like, hey, Tennessee, Cleveland, New York, what do you think is the best market for your son? And he can say, I hope maybe the opportunities in New York, the marketing and all the sponsorships that he goes to New York. That's different than him saying, just talking about Shedeur's future and basically saying we're hoping for New York. Because if you just say, we're hoping for New York, that means, or it gives us the impression that you don't want to go to Tennessee and you don't want to go to Cleveland. So I don't know if this was said or not. If you put a gun to my head right now, I'm going to take Coach Prime's word because I don't think Coach Prime is someone that says something and then runs and hides from it, especially something that is so black and white here. You obviously said it or you didn't. You were at this conference. We know you were speaking at this conference. You were the keynote speaker. Fact, fact, fact. Did you say this? Did you say we're hoping for New York? Now, let's advance the conversation because I don't have a damn clue what he said or what he didn't say. I'm going to take, though, our friend Coach Prime's word and say that he didn't say it. And if we're proven to be wrong here, then so be it. 1, 2, and 3 in the draft. How is this going to go? Let's just go around the room real quickly. First pick of the draft. I think Tennessee is taking Cam Ward. Stu, what do you think's happening here?
Cam Ward.
To Tennessee?
Yes.
Samter?
Agreed.
Okay, so we are 3 for 3. Cam Ward to Tennessee. At this rate, I would be not shocked, but I would be mildly surprised, and it would be unexpected for me if you see the Giants move up from 3 to 1. If there's going to be a trade, I don't think it's Cleveland moving up from 2 to 1. I think it's the Giants moving up from 3 to 1. But I feel like with the lack of return, Cam Ward, and I'm not a big pro day guy, but he had a stellar pro day from what everyone said. I get the feeling that Mike Borgonzi, and it's just a gut feeling, no inside information, no sources. It's just the way that I feel about this a month from the draft, that Tennessee's taking Cam Ward number 1. So now here is where the fun starts. Samter, 2nd overall pick. The Cleveland Browns. Who do you think they're taking?
I'm not saying Shedeur. They're not taking Shedeur.
Okay, so then you have Abdul Carter, you have Travis Hunter.
I think they're going to go Travis Hunter. God, it'd be so fun to see Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett together, but you have Garrett. You just paid him. I'm going to say Travis Hunter.
Okay. Stu, who do you think they're taking?
I think it's between Carter and Hunter. I think they go Carter to pair up with Garrett.
So I have flip-flopped on this 9,000 times. So I will do it 9,001 times here. Let me be abundantly clear. Cleveland, take Shedeur Sanders. They should take Shedeur Sanders. I don't think they will, though. And I was like Mike at first. Okay, they just paid Myles Garrett. They'll take Travis Hunter. And you could pair him up with Denzel Ward, and then you could also run him 20 plays a game or whatever at wide receiver for whoever your quarterback's going to be. I think they're taking Abdul Carter now. I do. I think they're pairing up Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett, and they'll have a great 1-2 punch at the pass rusher position. So I think the first 2 picks of the draft, and this pains me because I really wanted Abdul Carter on the Patriots. But I do believe that with the first overall pick, Tennessee's taking Cam Ward, and then with the second overall pick, you will then see Abdul Carter go to the Cleveland Browns. Now, here's the question. Third pick in the draft. So in Samter's example, you could have Abdul Carter or Shedeur Sanders. In Stu and I's example, you could have Travis Hunter or Shedeur Sanders. Stu, the New York Football Giants do what?
They will take their quarterback of the future in Shedeur Sanders.
All righty. Samter, and your exercise?
Shedeur.
I'm in agreement, too. I think the Giants are going to find a way to get Shedeur Sanders. And I don't know why Cleveland's going to pass up on a quarterback. You know, I know you could sit there and tell me, oh, Shedeur's not generational, blah, 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 blah. Like, Cleveland's taken 3,000 quarterbacks. What's the harm in taking another one? And I've been someone that has been saying Abdul Carter's the best player in the draft and then Travis Hunter. So I understand taking the better player, but in this league, you either have the quarterback or not. And you have no chance to succeed in this league if you don't have something at the quarterback position. So could Cleveland say, hey, you know what? We're going to pass on a quarterback this time around. We're admitting we're probably not going to be good this year. We're going to go with God knows who. Kenny Pickett right now would be their QB1. Does Russell Wilson land there? Do they get Kirk Cousins after the draft? Who knows? But if it's Kenny Pickett or if it's Russell Wilson or if it's Kirk Cousins, I don't think Cleveland's going to be any good. So would they want to wait a year from now and maybe they'll have the number 1 overall pick and they'll get Arch Manning? But here's the tricky part about that. What did the Manning family once do? Eli was going to be the number 1 overall pick to the Chargers, and he ended up still being the number 1 overall pick. But the Manning family said he's not playing there, and they forced their way to the New York Giants. So if you're telling me the Manning family 20-something years ago was willing to do that, why wouldn't the Manning family once again, if Arch plays great at Texas this year, if Arch is in fact the number 1 quarterback and could be the number 1 overall pick in the draft, why wouldn't they try to jump through hoops again to now force another Manning to have history repeat itself? That's just the thing that's out there. But I do believe that the Giants, they're the most desperate team in this draft because Joe Shane's job is on the line. Brian Daboll's job is on the line. Last year, they thought they were going to get a quarterback one way or another in the draft, whether it was Jaden Daniels or Drake May. First 2 picks, Caleb Williams went 1. Commanders said, we're taking Jaden Daniels. Patriots said, unless you're making a Godfather offer, we're not trading you the pick. Drake May goes to New England. And then you had the Giants that were SOL. And could they have taken J.J. McCarthy? Yes, they didn't do so. Could they have taken Michael Penix Jr.? Yes, but they didn't do so. Could they have taken Bo Nix? Yes, but they didn't do so. And Bo Nix had a really good season. I don't think Bo Nix would have been wonderful in New York, to be clear. Michael Penix Jr. barely played, and J.J. McCarthy got hurt. But they had a chance to get a quarterback last year. They waited until the draft, and it blew up in their face. And they had to go back to the well with Daniel Jones. Now, they tried for Stafford, swung and missed. They tried for Aaron Rodgers. Yes, signing Jameis Winston doesn't take them out of the market for Aaron Rodgers, but I think it's their admission it's probably unlikely at this point. And if you sign Jameis Winston, I don't think if you miss out on Rodgers, then you're bringing in Russell Wilson. So the Giants are once again putting all their eggs in the basket of the NFL draft. And you can't afford to miss this time. You can't get to... This would be the biggest nightmare for the Giants in the draft. Cam Ward goes 1, Shedeur goes 2. And I know you can tell me, oh, well, you got, the first or second best player in the draft and Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter at 3. Doesn't matter. Because you're then going into this season once again without a quarterback and you have nothing to sell to your fan base of hope. And it's not really wins and losses this year with Joe Shane and Brian Daboll. Sure, they can't go 4 or 5 wins once again. But they need to sell their franchise on a player that could bring hope to this organization. And we've seen, right, Malik Neighbors bring hope. Right? Dexter Lawrence bring hope. But those guys can't bring hope like a quarterback does. If you give a quarterback that brings hope, that's how you could save your job, even if you don't have the most amount of wins this year. And I do feel like when we look at the first 3 picks of the draft, Cam Ward's going 1 to Tennessee. Right now, I'm believing today, Abdul Carter goes 2 to Cleveland. I'm then going to say the Giants get Shedeur Sanders at 3, and then you got my team and the Patriots with 4, and I could see them taking Will Campbell out of LSU, but at that rate, take Travis Hunter. That's what I would do. That's today how I think the first 4 picks of the draft not should go, but will go. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. What do you think Tennessee's going to do with the number 1 overall pick? What do you think Cleveland's going to do with the number 2 overall pick? What do you think the New York Football Giants are going to do with the 3rd overall pick? And should the Giants take Shedeur Sanders? Should the Cleveland Browns take Shedeur Sanders? What do you think will happen with the quarterbacks when it comes to this 2025 NFL draft? We'll take a break. When we come on back, Doc Rivers is basically like Daryl Morey, and that's not a good thing. So we'll come on back with more on the idiotic comments by Doc Rivers. And still to come, Ole Miss men's head basketball coach Chris Beard off to the Sweet 16. They play Michigan State later in the week. He's going to join us live on the show at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
I always love a headline during the break. And I also love when the headline has nothing to do with sports. Have you thought about the Hawk Tua girl recently, Stu, at all?
It has been many months.
Santer?
I have.
You have? Uh-oh. That sounds a little bit sexual.
No. She has been embroiled in a huge controversy.
So I remember the controversy when it happened. I didn't hear much of it since, and I didn't realize it's been 4 months since that happened. So Barstool just posted, the Hawk Tua girl has finally woken up after a 4-month nap, releasing her first post since she went to bed after her Hawk meme coin alleged rug pulled millions of dollars. So I forgot that Hawk Tua got into a whole controversy with this meme coin stuff. So she hasn't posted in 4 months? You know, it's wild that one night, this girl, drunk, doing an interview, and had a very memorable rant. Spit on that thing, Hawk Tua, right? I'm giving you guys some drops, by the way. And she becomes this, like, icon overnight. This crazy celebrity, and she hasn't made a comment publicly in 4 months. So I guess she's just going to go online and pretend like nothing happened, and now she'll be beloved again? Honestly, I think that the 15 minutes of fame here is way past up. That's what I would think. But with what she was talking about and how she became famous, for guys, that never gets old, all right? If you know what I'm saying. So I guess she'll still have a career for whatever the career is of the Hawk Tua girl. You know, I'm probably going to stop my comments there because I don't want to get into any debates or any fights here with the Hawk Tua sycophants. You know, because I'm sure those people, man. Creepers! That's all I'm going to say. So Doc Rivers made such a stupid comment. They're dumb comments, and then they're the comments that, like, Doc Rivers made. And it reminded me, I think this was the most fired up I've ever been over something that was said. And, my blood is still boiling when Daryl Morey lost the playoff series when he's with the Rockets. I've said this for years. Daryl Morey is one of the most overrated executives we have in sports. He's not bad. He's good. But people talk about him like he's Red Auerbach and he's won like 9,000 championships. The guy's never won a championship. All right? So this idea that Daryl Morey is God's gift is insufferable. And I know our old boss, Spike Eskin, loves him because Daryl Morey always go on his podcast. And I would always tell Spike, I go, there's one tweet. I know you like the guy, but I can't get it out of my mind. And I've always said that Daryl Morey, when you celebrate losing, that's when I'm out on you. So they lost the playoff series. He could say which one, to the Golden State Warriors. And he put out this horrendous, and I mean horrendous tweet that made me scream, made me basically like punch air, and I was just furious over this. So this was back to 2019. That's when I was hosting the weekend overnights. And he just put out, versus the Warriors the last 3 years in the playoffs. Houston, the team he was running, 5-8. Rest of the NBA, 5-34. Clippers 2-4. Pelicans 1-4. Spurs 1-8. Cavs 1-8. Jazz 0-4. Blazers 0-6. So he's basically saying we're going to justify losing by saying, oh, all the other NBA teams when they go up against the Warriors, they're 5-34. At least we're 5-8. But what does that mean? You either win a series or you don't, right? You either win or you lose. And if you lose, I don't want to hear, oh, well, if we did this and this differently, we could have won. Or, oh, you know what? We lost, but it's not as pathetic and as bad and as embarrassing as other teams are. Because Daryl Morey made those losses even more pathetic and more embarrassing when he tried to justify the losing and basically saying our below 500 record is something that should be celebrated pretty much. So that's always in my mind. And I like Doc Rivers. I used to like Doc Rivers. When he was in Boston, right, with the big three, that was a team that I just really loved because I was a huge KG fan as a kid. You know, I always loved Paul Pierce. I love the three-point abilities of Ray Allen. When those guys formed together, I was, not that I'm a Celtics fan, but I was rooting for that trio. And Doc Rivers was the coach. Since then, though, Doc Rivers, it's not always his fault when his teams lose. I will acknowledge that. Like, there have been situations where he has asked players to be more committed, and those players have been lazy stars. And I think Doc's heart was in the right place, and what he was asking for is fair. But when you're asking a player to do more and they don't want to, then they're going to turn on you. So I do give Doc a little grace there. But Doc Rivers, you could win a championship and you could still be viewed as an overrated coach. Because Doc has 3 times in his career has blown 3-1 leads. He has not won a championship since then. And he's had some good teams with some talented players. So Doc Rivers, in all likelihood, will probably be in the Hall of Fame one day because the standards to make the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame are not crazy. They're not tough. It's not like Major League Baseball. It's not like Canton, Ohio with the NFL. There's a lot of guys out in the Basketball Hall of Fame that have no business of being there. And when you're top 10 in wins and you have a NBA championship, you're going to make the Hall of Fame. I think Doc, though, is a good coach. I don't think he's a very good coach. I don't think he's a great coach. But Doc Rivers, when doing an interview the other day, he said to Mark Spears one of the most idiotic and stupid things that Doc Rivers could say. And I know they're looking back at his career and the 3-1 leads are coming up that he's blown in the postseason. I think you just have to own them. No one's talking about Doc Rivers right now. Last year, right, when he took over the job, people were talking about him. Oh, how do you commit all that money? Blah, 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 blah. The years, all that stuff. People were talking about Doc Rivers. Like, unfortunately, it feels like now the only time we talk about the Milwaukee Bucks is when there's an article out there about a potential trade or Giannis Antetokounmpo wanting out. Like, the Bucks are a good team. You know, they have tried with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard. They won a championship, right? They even made a move at the deadline, and they finally got rid of Middleton. But I don't feel good about the Bucks going back to the NBA Finals this year and winning it all. They have a chance. I don't think it's a very good chance. So no one's really talking about Doc nationally right now. Until he said to Mark J. Spears, no one tells a real story, and I'm fine with that. It's unfair in some ways. I don't get enough credit for getting the 3 wins. I get credit for losing. I always say, what if we had lost to Houston in 6? No one cares. That was what Doc Rivers said on blown 3-1 series leads. Now, what's that NBA account? How do you say that?
Centel,
thank you. So I saw this on the NBA Centel account. And you know how there's a fake one, a Fugazi one? I saw that, and usually I would click on it, and then you see, oh, it's the fake one. I just assumed it was the fake one. And then I heard Bill Ryder losing his mind about it this morning. Vintage Bill Ryder rant. Way to go, Billy. And I heard Bill Ryder losing his mind, and I'm like, wait, Bill is the most plugged-in NBA guy that we have here at the network. I'm listening to it, and I'm saying to myself, oh, no, oh, no, oh, no, 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 because I'm thinking Billy got duped. I am. I go, no way Bill Ryder, right? He's too good of an NBA guy. He got LeBron fighting him publicly on Twitter. Chris Paul can't stay. I go, there's no way Bill is going to be so opinionated about something because Bill is a traditional journalist. I have journalistic integrity, but I don't view me as a journalist. I view myself as a talk show host first. Now, Bill's a very good talk show host, but Bill, to me, his roots are in journalism. So I would be very shocked if Bill got duped, but we all got duped. And then I realized, me thinking that this was a fake account, no, it was actually the real account. And that's what Doc Rivers said. Doc just don't get it. He just doesn't. And that's the bottom line. And when he prefaces it by saying, no one tells a real story and I'm fine with that, that's him basically saying, oh, I don't really care what's being said about me. But then you follow it up by saying, it's unfair in some ways. I don't get enough credit for getting the 3 wins. I get credit for losing. I always say, what if we lost to Houston in 6? No one cares. Are you kidding me? Could you imagine? And I know Joe Torre has won a lot more championships than Doc. But can you imagine when the New York Yankees, back in 2004, blew a 3-0 lead to the Boston Red Sox? Can you imagine if Joe Torre came out after Game 7 and said, you know what? People don't give me enough credit. At least we got 3 victories. What do the 3 victories mean? They mean jack bleep if you don't get the 4th one. Doc Rivers, you are tone deaf. Doc Rivers, you don't have a damn clue about the perception about you. And you come off here as an excuse maker, and no one's talking about the 3-1 leads that you've blown several times in your career right now. And in this article, you're telling everyone, oh, it's unfair, and I don't get enough credit for the 3 victories? Are you bleeping kidding me? No one gives a flying bleep if you win in a best-of-7 series 3 games. No one cares if you overachieve, if you're thought to be a title contender or not. If you're up 3-1 in a series, you have to finish it. Now, I don't hear Sidney Crosby or Alexander Ovechkin when they blew 3-1 series leads to the Rangers saying, you know what, no one gives us credit that we got 3 victories, but we weren't able to get the next one. And it's like, what participation bullcrap society do we live in? And you know what? I know Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers worked together once. They kind of deserve one another. Because Daryl Morey did the same crap when he was with the Rockets. Oh, we got 5 wins up against the Warriors. What'd you actually win, though? Oh, the rest of the league and the players only have 5 wins up against. It doesn't matter. Don't justify losing. The dumbest thing an executive or a coach can do when they don't win a series in the present or when they're talking about it in the future and when they're looking back at their history is justify losing. When you lose, you say you lost. We could have been better. We let this one slip away. We choked. We gagged it away. It's unacceptable. Don't sit there and tell me, oh, but I should get more credit because I got up 3-1 in the series. But then when I had chances in games 5, 6, and 7, 3 chances to get the job done, I couldn't find a way to get one lousy win. Nonsense. Baloney. That is insufferable. And I mean absolutely insufferable bullcrap from Doc Rivers. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We'll come on back. We'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with audio. After this Sports Flash, also still to come, Chris Beard is going to join us at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time today. But first, with the latest Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash, here is the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive Stanford.com. March is a tough time to be looking for a new football coach, but Stanford is in that spot, firing Troy Taylor after 2 seasons. The move comes following an investigation over bullying and belittling staff members. Cardinal also 6-13 in his 2 seasons at Palo Alto. The school will likely go for an interim coach for the upcoming season. Josh Pastner is back in the coaching ranks. The former Georgia Tech head man resurfaces at UNLV, succeeding Kevin Kruger. Bennett Sturts followed Ben McCollum to Drake, and now the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year is now going with him to Iowa as well. Jimmy Butler returns to Miami tonight for the first time to face the Heat since last month's trade, as he and the Warriors will tip off against Miami, with Golden State currently 6th in the West. The Thunder have already clinched the top seed out west and go for their 7th straight and 60th win of the season tonight in Sacramento. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
The Defensive Play of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. This week's player is Michigan State guard Trey Holloman in Sunday's 71-63 win over New Mexico. Holloman had 3 steals and a block. Michigan State as a team had 6 steals and 7 blocks. Samter, you're going to be very annoyed with me today. Very annoyed with me. So I saw that you weren't thrilled that I brought up 2004 with the ALCS. I saw you gave me some like hand gesture when I did that in the last segment.
It's been 21 years. Why do you have to stay? Like, just turn that
outside
needle.
of the Atlanta Falcons, I think it's the biggest choke job in the history of sports in an individual series or an individual game.
It's bigger than the Falcons.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's a great question. Because 28-3 late in a third quarter in a Super Bowl, you just got to hold on for one game. Now, the Yankees, they couldn't find a way in Game 4, Game 5, Game 6, or Game 7. So maybe you're right because you had 4 chances to do so.
And the surrounding circumstances, it's your biggest rival, the Red Sox, who hadn't won a World Series in 86 years.
Yeah.
You had the curse of the Bambino because they traded Babe Ruth to your team.
Yeah.
They
were your biatch for a while.
Yeah, there was more to it than just
don't worry,
blowing a 3-0 lead.
Would you have dumped that if I said that?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was more of a funny look at you.
Yeah,
than
yeah,
anything.
yeah. I didn't know if I could say that or not. I know if Bilotti was here, he would have dumped that. He would have dumped that in a second. But what I'm about to say to you, you thought you were mad when I brought that up. I got a call from Sully today. Now you're really going to be mad at me. I am going to Las Vegas. The Cinco de Mayo that weekend. I have a buddy's bachelor party in Las Vegas.
So like in June?
Well, it's Cinco de Mayo.
I know, it's a bad joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you have dad humor. Now, by the way, Santa's already annoyed at me because his baby girl's running around the house last night. He's editing stuff for the show saying, Uncle Zach, Uncle Zach, Uncle Zach. And then Santa's like, what about Dada? And she's like, Uncle Zach. So Santa goes, I hate you last night. But anyway, Sully calls me today. He goes, because I asked him, I go, I need help getting a reservation at Piero's. We have a group of 16. So Sully calls me, he goes, got you the private room at Piero's, dinner, Saturday night, Cinco de Mayo weekend at Piero's. And that's one of the best restaurants in the country, as you know, Samter. So
I've never heard of it.
yeah. The only reason Samter may not remember it is because he had so many drinks that night. He walked out of there, he couldn't see straight.
You go to a nice Italian restaurant, you got to drink some scotch.
Yeah. So Samter pulled a move at that restaurant. Did it with Stu. We're in a private room. Like the whole network was supposed to go. Amy bailed. James Baccioni bailed. I think Maggie got sick. Every time we go away, Maggie gets sick. So it ends up just being, Mayor Nick and his wife bailed too. It ended up just being myself. We're supposed to have like a ton of people. I think the reservation was like 12 or 13 people. Ended up being Perloff, EJ, myself, Samter, and that was it. Right? And then Sully.
Yeah.
And then the owner of the restaurant, who was a friend of Sully Evan, sat with us. So we had this whole private room. It was only 5 or 6 of us. And they basically gave us the entire restaurant. Like everything that's on the menu. but a drink comes out, and I guess Santa didn't like his drink. And remember, first drink of the night, didn't love the drink. We had this big reservation, half the reservation bailed. We're in this private room Super Bowl week, right? Big week, cash cow week. And Santa goes, I'm actually going to send the drink back. And the whole night, Sully and myself and Perloff, anytime Santa took a drink, saying, you going to send that one back too? So we just kept on just having fun at the expense of Moist Mike. But as John Gruden would say, Santa was feeling nicey. He's feeling nicey that night. All righty, let's get to a little news brief. Let's hit it.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Big word here. Confounded. Usually you don't see that on a slug sheet for a cut that we're about to play, but I guess Ian Rappaport is confounded by Shedeur Sanders' draft stock. This is on the Pat McAfee Show.
My guess is we get 3 in the top 15. Where Shedeur Sanders goes is the biggest draft question mark that I could remember in a very, very long time, because he is for sure talented. He has put 2 programs on his actual back and led them back to national prominence. I mean, he is a rock star, but it's not a slam dunk number 1 overall selection. Like, could Shedeur Sanders go 2 to Cleveland? Possible. 3 to the Giants? Possible. Could I see him going past the top 10? I could see that too. Like, it is absolutely fascinating. And a month out now, I have absolutely no idea.
So I think it's safe to say you could have absolutely no idea. But falling out of the top 10? So I think Cam Ward's going 1. Right now, as I told you a little bit earlier, my gut tells me Cleveland passes on a quarterback, even though I think that's a mistake. Are the Giants passing on Shedeur at 3? That I would be really shocked by. But even if they do, all right, New England doesn't need a quarterback. Jacksonville's not taking a quarterback. How would the Raiders or Jets justify passing on Shedeur Sanders? Or how would the Saints justify passing on Shedeur Sanders? And Chicago wouldn't. Carolina wouldn't. But I just gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that could take Shedeur. One of those 5 teams need to take him in the top 10. I still think he's going 3 to the New York Giants. So there's a lot out there with Kevin Willard. I saw he's supposed to be on a radio show in D.C. today on 106.7 The Fan. He's supposed to go on at 9:40 a.m. Eastern, The Junkies, which is a famous radio show. And I guess he didn't show up for it or didn't call in for it. So then later in the day, he was on The Team, which is another station in D.C., which is both owned by Odyssey. And he was on the Kevin Sheehan show. And this is Kevin Willard when he was asked if he is staying at Maryland.
Are you staying?
As of right now, I'm staying, Kev, yes.
As of right now, but are you going to get the things are you comfortable right now saying that you're going to get the things you need and you are going to be at Maryland as the head coach next year and beyond?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a nervous laugh in the beginning. And then he said, as of now, I'm staying. That sounds like 2 things. 1, he's gone. Or 2, Maryland, you better do everything I say or I'll find a way to leave. And whoever gets a Villanova job is fascinating because I've seen Kevin Willard's name speculated. I've seen Mick Cronin's name speculated. Porter Moser's name has been speculated as well. Richard Pitino as well. Those are 4 pretty big names, and we'll see who ends up getting that Villanova job. Here is Amir Khan. This is Aura, right? The manager, McNeese. And we know Will Wade is off to NC State. This is on KFC Radio, Barstool Sports. Amir Khan, are you following Will Wade to NC State?
Next up is NC State, or what? What's the future hold?
Yeah, so I just got home, and I haven't really focused on the future too much. Definitely going to take a few weeks to figure out everything, consider all my options, and see where we go from there. I would say the reports were a bit premature, but I'm definitely open to following Coach Wade. I think, like I said, he was my favorite coach before all of this happened, before I started working at McNeese. So, if I get a chance to continue working for him, I'll definitely consider it. Dream is right now is to, get into coaching. And, I still have a lot more to learn from Coach Wade. And, he's one of the best coaches in college basketball. So, and we already have a close relationship. So I think that would be, sticking with him probably would be, the thing I want to do. But I'm going to, I consider everything and, just talk about it with my family and figure it out.
That's amazing. Now, I understand he's one of the biggest stories of the NCAA tournament so far. But now we're on Amir Khan watch. And what the heck is he going to do? You know, I know he's not technically in the transfer portal, but he basically is in the transfer portal. That's wild, all for a manager. It's pretty cool. Here was Josh Pastner with us yesterday at 5:20 p.m. Eastern when I asked him if he wanted to coach again.
I love doing TV, but yes, I would love to coach again if it's the right opportunity. I've taken 2 schools to the tournament, have won championships at both schools. I would like to take a third. I'd like to have another opportunity. I love television. So I'm not just going to leave TV just for the heck of it, because as you know, Zach, the opportunities I've had in television are hard to get. But if there was the right opportunity, I would be all in to try to have an opportunity to coach again. If somebody felt I was the right fit for them, and I felt they were the right fit for me. So, I would have, me, because I'm a positive guy. I think I look at the portal as an opportunity, the NIL, in a good way. And I think I'd be really good at it because it's so much now, more so than ever, you're just dealing with people.
Yeah.
It's more so than ever a people's business. And yes, and you still got to coach and do it and develop players, but there's other things that I like about it, that is, it can, even with the dealing with the agent, it just streamlines everything. Instead of spending 3-4 years recruiting a high school guy and then chasing him at 15 and under, 16 and under, 17 and under, going to here, going to there, fine, which I loved. I love that. No problem. Now you don't have to do that. You just call the agent and say, "Hey, do we have a shot? What's it going to be? What's the contract? How much does he want?" And you can just streamline recruiting instead of 3 years, basically into 3 weeks. I think it's way more efficient now. Yes, there are some things that are maybe not as good about it, but it's way more efficient, and you can streamline a lot of stuff, and you can save so much more time than ever before.
I think that's the best answer I've heard on coaches dealing with NIL in the transfer portal. I've never heard someone be so positive about it. Now, with that being said, last night I'm sitting there doing my fantasy baseball draft, and I get an alert. Josh Pastner's taking the UNLV job. So hours before taking the job, he's on with us discussing his future. And it's so funny because we went long in the interview yesterday. I love having Josh on. He's one of the brightest basketball minds I've ever been around. And he's so good breaking down these games. And I look up and it's 22 past the hour. But when he's saying that, I'm like thinking to myself, well, the last coach we had on that worked for ESPN that was talking about his future openly on this show, and then shortly after that took a job, was Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen's now the head football coach at UNLV. Josh Pastner, hours before he takes that job, is on with us talking about his future, and now he's going to be the head men's basketball coach at UNLV. And during that answer, I bit my tongue because I was about to say it, but I'm like, oh, we got to get to a break. Samter's going to kill me because we're already 22 past the hour. And then if Samter's upset, then Ack's going to be upset. It's going to push the whole thing back. And then boom, look at that. Josh Pastner ends up becoming UNLV. So if you want a job at UNLV, go be an analyst for ESPN, then come on the show, and within hours, you will get a job at UNLV. Alrighty, we're coming on back. One of the best coaches in the country, Chris Beard, will join us. Ole Miss in the Sweet 16. They go up against Michigan State. Chris Beard next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. Sweet 16 getting closer and closer on Thursday. You will have BYU and Alabama, Maryland and Florida, Arizona, Duke, Arkansas, and Texas Tech. I do like Arkansas to beat Texas Tech in that game. And when you look at the Friday schedule, you really have a monster slate on Friday. You got Ole Miss with one of the best coaches in the country, and Chris Beard, who's going to stop by in a few minutes from now. Michigan State, we all know what Tom Izzo has done in his career. You got a big one, Kentucky and Tennessee. Michigan and Auburn. Dusty May knows how to win this time of the year. Bruce Pearl, who's been to the Final Four before with Auburn, is trying to get back there and win a national championship, the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. And then you do got Purdue and Houston. So this has been a fun round to 32, and now we got some big teams here in the Sweet 16, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen and who the 4 teams will be that are remaining as we get set for the Final Four. And we'll be broadcasting there live in San Antonio. But now joining us on the guest line, he's one of the best coaches in the country. He has Ole Miss in the Sweet 16, second year on the job there. They'll go up against Michigan State like we were just talking about on Friday night, and that is the head coach at Ole Miss, and Chris Beard, kind enough to join us right now. Coach, I know it's been a while. Appreciate the time. How you been?
Busy.
Yeah, right? I could imagine. I'll start you off with a food question, though, because I'll never forget. It's one of my favorite interviews ever when you punch your ticket to the Final Four. You're on the bus going back to the airport, and you're giving out your Whataburger order, and you're basically telling to the listener, someone go bring you a burger to the airport when you land. So you've had now 2 years to get the fine cuisine down there on the Ole Miss campus. You know, Ajax, the library, Bourré, gas station, chicken on a stick. What has been some of your favorite eats?
Yeah, all of the above. That was a good list. Funky's Pizza, Ginside Wings, all sorts of stuff. Today I had the Taylor Grocery hot dog. Then the sneaky one down here is on my way home every night. There's a corner store, gas station, convenience store, Rascals. And they got some really sneaky food in there, man. They grill it out during the day. Then they put what's left over in the hot box at night. And they've got a really good pimento cheese and chicken salad that they serve well into the night. So that's been the go-to this season.
I know Ole Miss fans are really fired up. I don't have the great education in all the Ole Miss food places. I hit up my best friend Spencer, whose wife Anna Lee is a proud graduate of Ole Miss. So I know they're fired up with what you've done with the basketball team. First time since 2001 in the Sweet 16. Just what does this mean for the program this quickly to get them back to the Sweet 16?
Well, to us, it always starts really knowing the tradition and the history and recognizing all the coaches and players that have come before us. Ole Miss has a sneaky kind of basketball past. Coach Barnes and Coach Evans, Coach Wetlick, Kermit Davis, Andy Kennedy, the all-time winningest coach here. All these coaches had some success. They had some special teams. So we know that we wouldn't have the job or the opportunity, the facilities that we have today if it wasn't for all those past players and past coaches pouring into this program. Our job is we would just like to honor those past teams and then try to take this to another level. So to be in our 10th NCAA tournament, to be in our second Sweet 16 in school history, in just our second season here, I think our players deserve all the credit. You know, they're the ones that have done the work, got the stops, made the baskets for us to be one of the 16 teams left across the country practicing and still playing this week.
Well, let's talk about some of those players. Chris Beard here with us. Ole Miss in the Sweet 16 up against Michigan State on Friday. Malik Dia got a lot of praise over the weekend. Just how about the growth that you've seen since the first day he walked into your program to where he's at right now in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I'm really proud of Dia. I think there'll be time after the season to comment on him more, but I'll just share that the first time that we spoke in the recruiting process, we both shared very high expectations for him. I didn't sugarcoat what I thought. It wasn't just recruiting spill or fluff, because I also had some criticism in there, some things that we thought that he could get better on. Dia was great. He was very confident in himself, but also had a real humility that he was trying to find a program that was based on player development and for him to continue working. So remembering that first conversation, and now months later, having the pleasure and the honor to coach this guy in the Sweet 16, I give Dia all the credit. We coach him hard. We've never lowered the expectations for him as an individual player or our team. I just think he's got a high ceiling. I think any praise that he's gotten in the last couple of weeks and months on good games, I think that's real. But I'm also pretty quick to say that there's so many things that he can continue to do better as well. And the best thing about Dia is he accepts that. He wants the positive criticism as well as the confidence talk.
A lot of times you see what coaches preach just reflected in their players. I know how passionate and how much you care about basketball. You see a lot of that in Sean Padula, who, man, what an unbelievable weekend he had, and he plays with so much intensity and energy.
Yeah, Sean, above all, is a competitor. He's a guy that loves basketball. He grew up playing in his driveway, the park, the gyms, any game he could play. Comes from a big family with brothers and sisters, so he's the guy that grew up playing with his younger brothers and older brothers. and that just bleeds through him. Above all, he loves to hoop. And I think in his backcourt, Juju, same thing from the Bronx, just loves to play. So those two guys at heart are competitors. They're ballers. They're the kind of guys that will be looking for a pickup game, the day our season ends. And I hope that's a Tuesday in April.
Yeah, that would definitely be nice. It'd be a heck of a story. Chris Beard here with us. So you guys have done a very good job in the transfer portal and bringing in new players. I know these things happen so quickly, and you got to make a decision, and that decision can either define or derail your season. How do you get a sense, and what do you look for if a kid is a right fit for your program when you hit the portal?
Yeah, I think that's it. You mentioned the best word. It's fit. There's a lot of really good players out there that could play anywhere, and any coach would love to have them. But when you start talking about winning, fit better be talked about in the first inning and all the way to the ninth inning. So our coaching staff has done a good job, not only this year, but for years in the recruiting space. And I've always thought evaluating is so much more important than the actual recruiting job. When we think of recruiting, we think of salesmanship and relationships and official visits, and all that stuff is real. But more important is its evaluation. Is the things that this player does, will it fit in our program? And then equally important, the best players in the portal that make the best decisions, they're going through the same process. It's not just about name, image, and likeness or facilities or what kind of sneakers you wear. It's about that player evaluating his options and trying to find the best situation for him. So whether it's playing time, coaching style, player development, opportunity, culture of the program, both sides are evaluating when this thing's done correctly. And I think our coaching staff has done a great job. I've been doing this a long time with Al and Wes and Bob and Bird and Coach Adams and all these guys. And so, we're blessed to have a staff that embraces the evaluation side of recruiting just as much as the salesmanship.
And I think the player who perfectly exemplifies what you guys are trying to build in your culture is Jamin Brakefield. So what blew me away is 90 career starts, only one start this year. That requires an incredible amount of selflessness. And then I hear what he's doing with his NIL money and the story with Brandon Hill that was shown on television. Man, what a wonderful kid it seems like to coach.
Yeah, Brake's the real deal. He's an elite human being. I believe he's a professional basketball player. I think he'll play as long as his body allows him to. He also has real interest in off-the-court life, investments, real estate, owning it, learning that game. And I just tell people all the time, man, we're all looking for a 5-star stud. And I think every employer in this country is looking for the same thing. Whoever is smart enough to hire Brakefield when his playing career ends will be instantly in a championship type game because he's just elite. He gets it. It's not about him. It's about the team. It's about his family. He's a disciplined guy. He lives his life with thinking about himself less than others, and certainly the national story about his relationship with Brandon, who he's basically helped change Brandon's life. All that stuff's real. It's not a 30 for 30. It's not a movie. It's not a fluffy internet article. It's real, man. Brake is an elite human being, period.
Chris Beard here with us. Well said. So you guys were called by Tim Doyle frauds before the start of the tournament. People were wondering what you guys are going to be able to do. Now you're in the Sweet 16. Everyone's praising you the last few days since what you guys were able to accomplish. How do you get your guys to lock back in so it's not just, one great weekend and you could carry this thing on a little bit further?
Yeah. Well, first of all, with Tim, nobody knows the truth. I don't know. Maybe him and I are great friends, and maybe he's giving us the motivation that we need. There's always two sides of those things. But no, the talk around the tournament and the talk around basketball is fun. Those guys are paid to have an opinion. That's why my favorite TV show is Kenny, Chuck, and Shaq and those guys, because they tell you what they think. Whether you agree or disagree, it makes for live television. It's awesome. Those guys aren't scared to tell you what they think. They're truth tellers, and that's why that's my favorite TV show. Always has been and always will be. Back to us. We have a saying: never lose your chip. Anybody that's talking about you, whether they're talking good or bad, it is good. Because people don't talk about people that aren't relatives. So for people to have critical things to say about us, I don't know. They're talking about Ole Miss. for people to have some positive things to say about us, thank you. I think we've earned the right for some positive as well. But that's fuel, and all the great competitors know how to find their fuel. And so, no, that's one of the fun things about the NCAA tournament. We don't spend a lot of time or really much time at all talking about those. But the whole fraud deal, that did reach our locker room, and we've enjoyed competing through that. Like if we don't do our part of the bargain, and if we don't make it to the Sweet 16, then maybe that's valid. But I think at this point, to be one of the 16 teams left in college basketball, I think you can say a lot of things about our team like you can other teams, but I don't think you can say Ole Miss basketball is a fraud. Just look at the 16 teams still left in the tournament, and look at those teams that we've beat. And I think the best thing in sports is head-to-head, right? Like when there's a tiebreaker for a championship, everyone goes to head-to-head. So there's nothing more important in all the analytics and all this stuff than head-to-head competition. And we've beaten a lot of teams that are in the Sweet 16, and that's one of the sources of our confidence internally. We believe that we're worthy and deserving of being in the Sweet 16, and we believe that if we play our A game, we can be successful. Just like we know if we don't play our A game, then it'll be start the band, start the bus, we're out.
Man, you're getting me fired up. I can't wait for Friday when we turn the page to Friday, Chris Beard. I know you have a lot of respect for Tom Izzo. We've seen you guys go at it before in the NCAA tournament. His Michigan State team, your team here now with Ole Miss. Just how about when you get ready to prepare for Coach Izzo's squad, what stands out?
I mean, he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. I think, there's 3 or 4 guys that have coached college basketball that are in the Mount Rushmore, and Coach Izzo's there. Period. Anybody would tell you that. His teams have identities. His teams play the right way. He does it each year with different players, different staff. The common denominator is him. You know this as a coach. Every time you play his team, you're going to be tested. You're going to be exposed. And you better get a few things done or you won't be in the game. So my whole career, one of the things that we've told our teams before the game, whether it be at Fort Scott or Seminole or Little Rock or Texas Tech or now at Ole Miss, all the other stops along the way, we've really had a desire each game, hey man, can we out-tough these guys? Can toughness be the path to victory? When we play Michigan State, we do not say that. We have no objective in out-toughing a Tom Izzo coach team. We're going to try to match their toughness. We're going to try to match their toughness possession by possession, 4-minute game to 4-minute game. We know there's going to be some times in this game where they're going to out-tough us, but we've got to hold our own. But that's unique to most games we play. There's only a few programs around the country that we take this view of the game. But Michigan State's one of those teams. We don't think we're going to out-tough them. We're going to try to match their toughness and try to be competitive in all things tough in this game, whether it's rebounding, transition, screening, cutting, mental toughness, playing through fatigue, being strong with the basketball. All these things are a given. We better be ready to do that, or all the other stuff doesn't matter when you play Coach Izzo.
2 years in, getting to reflect a little bit, have your expectations been exceeded about what you were getting into when you took the job at Ole Miss?
No. Expectations are to compete for championships and make runs in tournaments and play in the final game on that Monday night in April. So we have not exceeded expectations in any way. We're building the program. We're trying to build it brick by brick. Lots of people have gone into this, the administration with Chancellor Boyce and Keith Carter, our season ticket holders, our fan base, our students. So we're plugging away. We're here in year 2. We're one of the 16 teams left. We got a 4-team tournament in Atlanta starting on Friday. Most important game in that 4-team tournament is the first game. And then certainly, we're 80 minutes from San Antonio.
Last thing I ask you, because I know you got to run. Naturally, with your success and your resume, people will look at you and they say you're one of the best basketball coaches in the country. Is this Ole Miss thing going to be a long run, or is it just going to be a 2 to 4 year run? What do you say to the Ole Miss fan that is afraid of maybe losing you one day and going off to a different school?
No, I mean, you're going to get that question if you're a coach that has good players and you win. That's just part of the dialogue in college basketball. So all that means is we had a really good team when people make those comments. But we're at Ole Miss for a reason. We believe in this place. We love this place. I think we came here with a big vision in mind. Again, the Chancellor and Keith and our fans And so we're just getting started. This is early days in Oxford, but why not? Why not compete for a championship in the early days? And that's what we're trying to do.
Coach, great to reconnect with you. Appreciate the time. Good luck coming up this week.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Chris Beard on the show. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network, one of the best coaches in the country. And there was a reason why I thought they were going to go to the Sweet 16 this year. And a big part of that reason is him. And, man, what he's done back-to-back 20-win seasons in year 2 in the Sweet 16, I can't wait to see how that game's going to play out up against Michigan State. I have all the respect in the world for Tom Izzo, but I think that spread's a little low. And I had Michigan State going to the Final Four before this tournament started. 3.5 only being that spread. Whew. I'm thinking I'm plussing the points with the Rebels, and we'll see if they can win the game outright. All righty, we'll take a timeout. Good stuff there. Overreaction, proper reaction. Next, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Another NFL week is complete, which means it's another week to freak out about your favorite team. Which takes are truly crazy.
But sometimes a game can be so bad, it's almost good. You know what I'm saying? No.
And which are so crazy, they might be right.
He's 6'5", he's 245 pounds. He's probably a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end.
Zach lets you know in this week's edition of Overreaction or Proper Reaction.
Alrighty, let's get to it. Overreaction, proper reaction time. Stupak. What do we got cooking today?
All right, so Albert Breer of the MMQB is reporting that Aaron Rodgers favors...
You got in 6, Stu?
And my voice is shot.
Right?
Yeah, it's gone.
You know what?
It's going around.
I didn't want to say this to you yesterday. I didn't realize it. Today I realized it because I got a little bit of a tip. I had a heightened awareness to your voice. I was talking to my mother yesterday, and randomly, like we were talking about something family related, and she just goes, "How about Stu, by the way?" And I'm like, "Excuse me?" I go, "Who?" She goes, "Stu." I'm like, "You talking about Stuart Kovacs?" Wait, we're literally talking nothing show related. We're talking about something family related. And she just brought you up. I go, "What about Stu?" He goes, "Voice sounded rough yesterday." And I go, "Really?" And that's a mother. Because a mother could always tell when something's about to happen before something's happening.
Definitely.
And today, your voice does sound banged up.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So we'll try to get through this.
All right. You got the sniffles there.
Yeah, it's more the voice, honestly. That's just what's bugging me right now.
Got like a little pain in the throat, is what you're saying?
It's
a little scratchy throat?
It's a little scratch, but it's not even like that bad. It's just like it sounds worse than it feels.
I think it's going around, honestly.
I mean, everyone here has been sick the past couple weeks.
I don't think I sound sick, right?
No.
I do have a little bit of a scratchy throat going on, though.
Yeah.
You look sick.
That's not nice. You know what? Your daughter thought I was lovely last night. She was like, "Uncle Zach, Uncle Zach, Uncle Zach." Here I am being a nice person.
I'm still mad
and
about
Santa's he's taking arrows and just slinging them at me. Jeez Louise. Yeah, I went to I was going to say the drugstore today. I went to the convenience store and I got some cough drops. I need a new bag of cough drops and I've been sucking down tea. But it's the way that you described it is perfect. I feel fine. I feel great. I just feel like there's like a little scratch. Like a pinky finger size scratch in my throat. And it's just annoying, obnoxious. It's a little annoying, obnoxious. I talk about Santa or or am I talking about what's going on in my throat right now? Alrighty, Santa, I 1-1 for shots on the day. You want to just call it a truce right there and not see who wins this best of 3? Actually,
1-1, baby. Let's bring it.
All right, let's take it to 7, best of 7. I'll have you go up 3-1, and you can be Doc Rivers, and then afterwards say, "Oh, I got 3 victories." You know, why don't no one give me credit for the 3 victories?
You had a chance to take number 2 there just by going with the 3-0.
Yeah,
as you
that's
kind of
true.
did before. But all right, you know what?
I'm not in a malicious mood today.
You took the high road.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? All right, let's get to overreaction, proper reaction.
So speaking
With
of
scratchy
annoying,
voice, Stu.
Speaking of
On the
annoying and
ones and
obnoxious, Aaron Rodgers, he reportedly favors the Steelers because they most closely mirror the Packers' strong culture. However, some Steelers fans aren't buying Rodgers as a good fit, telling Pro Football Talk things like, quote, "How can you root for a quarterback who has no regard for tradition or family?" End quote. And quote, If Rodgers comes to the Steelers, he will ruin the heart and soul of the team, and it will never be the same.
Oh,
End of
man.
quote. Overreaction.
These are fans saying
These
this?
are fans saying this, yeah. To Pro Football Talk.
What a bunch of morons, but continue.
Overreaction to proper reaction. Bringing in Rodgers will be more harmful to the Steelers than helpful.
That's an overreaction. Steeler fans, are you delusional? You're a good football team. You're not very good. You're not great. You haven't won a playoff game since the 2016 season. So would you rather go into this season with Mason Rudolph, Russell Wilson, or Aaron Rodgers? Even a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Who gives you the best chance to win a playoff game? Just one. Because you don't have Super Bowl standards anymore. Just one playoff game. One little playoff game. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. So this idea that, the Steelers culture, you can't bring in Aaron Rodgers. Oh, my goodness gracious. Give me a break. That's ridiculous. All righty, next question.
So Puka Nacua is on a Hall of Fame pace after his historic start to his career.
You need some, chicken soup still. I'm telling you, this voice, I didn't realize it yesterday. It's rough today.
Yeah, it's gotten worse today. However, the Ram star wideout told the Join the Lobby podcast that he doesn't plan to play until he is old and gray.
I want to retire at the age of 30. I'm 23 right now. I'm going into year 3. I think of Aaron Donald to go out at the top, I think it would be super cool, but then also be like, yo, I want to have a big family, but also be like, man, I want to be able to be a part of their lives and be as active as I can with them. So by the time my kids could be 18, I could be barely walking if if you play the game and you sustain all the injuries. I want to retire early.
So overreaction or proper reaction, you believe Nacua will change his mind and play after 30.
You don't usually hear a player say that. It's an interesting thought. Now, he was around it towards the end, right, with Aaron Donald. So maybe you're just kind of familiar with what you're familiar with, and that's how you then think your career is going to go. He leaves it all out there on the field, but I think he loves the game so much that it's interesting to say. So you have to it definitely has some merit behind it. But if you're telling me when he's 31, if he's healthy, that he's going to retire, yeah, I'm not believing that. So you believe Nacua will change his mind and play after 30? Yeah, I do. I think he will change his mind. That's a proper reaction.
Cam Ward is the likely number 1 overall pick for the Titans in this year's draft, unless, of course, they trade the pick to someone else, like perhaps the Giants, who could draft him there instead. Now, yesterday, the star quarterback worked out at Miami's Pro Day and had a message for the Titans.
I'm solidifying it today. They finally got to see me throw in person. That should be all they need to see. But at the end of the day, whether they want to give the pick or not, I'm going to be happy with every team I go to. So I'm just trying to play football.
So overreaction or proper reaction, Cam Ward will be the Titans' Week 1 starter in 2025.
I think he will be on the Tennessee Titans. You do have Will Levis there. Do I think Cam Ward is ready to start Week 1? Yeah, I do. That's a proper reaction. Cam Ward's going to be the signal caller. He's going to be the Week 1 starting quarterback as long as he's healthy for Tennessee come Week 1. That is a proper reaction.
J.J. McCarthy is recovering from a knee injury that he suffered before his rookie season. And now that the Vikings let Sam Darnold walk, he is expected to be the Week 1 starter. However, McCarthy told Kay Adams yesterday that he hasn't been told yet that he is the starter.
We as a fan base found out you're the guy, the guy recently. When did you know? When did they tell you, or when was that message to you?
They haven't told me, and I'm happy they didn't, because I try to earn it every single day, and I never want that to be given to me, and it's such a privilege and opportunity to give me that chance, and I'm just going to make the most of it every single day.
So overreaction or proper reaction, it's a smart move for the Vikings to not assure McCarthy that he's the starter.
Overreaction. This is the dumbest crap. Some of the dumbest crap I've ever seen. It's why create a further distraction? J.J. McCarthy is not someone that has this insufferable ego. J.J. McCarthy's a good kid. He's a hard worker. He changed Michigan forever. And now he just went through an injury. Sam Darnold's not back. Daniel Jones isn't back. You're allowing this Aaron Rodgers thing to just basically float on out there. I know what the Pelissero report was, but I don't understand why Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah just don't come out and say, oh, he's the starter. That to me doesn't make any sense. And what does he really need to prove? You just drafted him 10th overall. He would have gotten the field at some point last year. I really do believe that if it wasn't for an injury. So I don't understand. I don't think McCarthy needs to get the assurance, but I don't understand why they would allow the drama wheel to just continue to spin and spin and spin when they should just nip this in the bud right now. So it's smart for the Vikings to not assure McCarthy he's the starter. I don't think he needs the assurance, but I don't think it's smart. So I'm going overreaction on that one.
The Falcons, they held on to Kirk Cousins for now as they triggered his $10 million option for 2025. However, that doesn't mean Cousins is staying in Atlanta long term. Now, a new report by Albert Breer says Cousins won't waive his no-trade clause until after the draft in order to avoid another situation like last year, where, of course, the Falcons shocked him and the world by drafting Michael Penix. Overreaction or prop reaction, Kirk Cousins will still be on the Falcons in 2025.
So Russell Wilson's still out there. Cleveland brought in Kenny Pickett. The Giants just signed Jameis Winston. I believe Cam Ward's going number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. And then I think right now the Browns are passing up on Shedeur Sanders. Even though they should take him, I don't think they will. So there's still a need for a quarterback there. I'm going to lean still that Kirk Cousins reunites with the head coach there in Cleveland, Kevin Stefanski, and he will not be on the Falcons for 2025. So Kirk Cousins will still be on the Falcons in 2025. I think this is calculated by both sides, and I do not think he will still be on the Falcons in 2025. So I'm going overreaction on the question.
All right, last one here. As we discussed yesterday, the Giants signed Jameis Winston to a very cap-friendly deal that likely means the former number 1 overall pick will be their backup in 2025.
Have you guys ever ate a W, by the way? Have you ever tried that? Have you?
Have not, no.
Santer, you ever tried to eat a W?
No.
Why not?
No. It doesn't taste good.
I know, but like, you have like a little daughter, right? How many times your daughter's fingers are in her mouth? Constantly, right? You never like done like the jokey, like, oh, I'm going to eat a W and then try it? No?
No.
No, not at all?
Not even once.
I thought you'd be an eat a W guy, Samter.
Yeah, no thank
I
you.
had you pegged as being an eat a W. Stu, no way. Stu's too serious. You're silly Santa. I thought for sure you were going to eat a W, but I guess not. All right.
I eat the L's.
That's not nice. You know, you got to get a few victories here and there. But hey, when you're married with a wife and a kid, yeah, you take a lot of L's, right?
Oh, I take L's left and right.
You actually willingly take L's.
Yeah, I think I take more L's here than I do at home.
Joe Shane and Mike Santer these days spot the difference.
All right, 2-1 Zach.
Yeah.
All right, I can still make the comeback.
Shoots, he scores! All righty, what do we got?
Well, despite signing Jameis, Adam Schefter says that Big Blue could still be in the market for a big-name veteran.
I would say that their quarterback room is and continues to be a work in progress. They are still very much in the market for Russell Wilson. Ultimately, it wouldn't surprise me if Russell Wilson chose the Giants over the Browns and the Steelers. But let's live in a universe here where Russell Wilson picks the Giants. I still think with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and Tommy, I still think the Giants may go ahead and take Shedeur Sanders at number 3.
Here's what I love about the Giants. Their offensive line has been a work in progress for, I don't know, a decade. Now their quarterback room has been a work in progress for 3 or 4 years. But when do you actually fix the problem here? But anyway, ask me the question.
So overreaction or proper reaction, Russell Wilson will be playing for the Giants in 2025.
Oh, God, no. No. They just got Jameis Winston. So the only way Jameis Winston is a starting quarterback is they don't get Shedeur Sanders somehow, or Shedeur Sanders just not ready for week 1. I don't think you bring in Jameis Winston and then go to Russell Wilson. You just got the cheap alternative at the quarterback position. I saw something that like Russ is looking for $20 to $30 million a year. Like, what are we doing here? So I think they're going with Jameis, and then they'll get Shedeur Sanders. So Russell Wilson will be playing for the Giants in 2025. That is an overreaction.
What if Shedeur and Cam are both off the board for the Giants at 3? Who's their starting quarterback next year?
I would pack my bags. You're getting fired either way.
Trade for Cousins?
No. Imagine him running behind this offensive line. Oy.
But what do you do?
start packing. I'm being serious.
I mean, I guess, but like you have to have a quarterback. You can't have Jameis on $4 million.
I'm like you when you get in an argument with your wife or something. You take the L and you just go home. All right? In that case, I'm Joe Shane. Take the L. It's fun. The clip is going to haunt me forever of my son saying to go trade up for Jaden Daniels. Dad, you only get one chance at this. If you don't get a quarterback in the draft within the first 3 picks and you're Joe Shane, and you already got Jameis Winston, and let's say Aaron Rodgers isn't doing ayahuasca with you and he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Russell Wilson, oh, geez, real fun. That's if Jameis is starting week 1 or Russell Wilson for the Giants, your season is already over before it began. Let's just be honest about that.
I'm just going to throw out this scenario.
Yeah.
If Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter are both available there at 3, is there a starting quarterback, a good starting quarterback in the NFL that a team would be willing to trade to the Giants for that pick to get Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter?
No. Because you're saying trade a good starting quarterback?
Kyler Murray.
But why would the Giants tie themselves up to that just terrible contract?
If you have no other options at quarterback? If you have nothing else going on, and you're either going with Jameis Winston or you're signing Ryan Tannehill off the scrap heap?
I think the Giants would be interested. I don't think you're trading a good quarterback for a non-quarterback with only the 3rd overall pick. I don't. Kyler's an interesting, but then who?
Brock Purdy? If you're the 49ers, you're not convinced you have to pay him?
But you're in a win-now mode.
Are they? They've got rid of their entire roster. They have like 3 starters left.
But you still got to go win. So like, what would it be doing there? All righty. We'll take a time out. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll come on back with the college coaches under the most pressure on the hot seat. And Ack was sitting here, and let's get to the update. Come on. Come on, Spider. Let's go. Here's Ack with the latest update.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, Stanford football coach Troy Taylor has been fired. It comes following an investigation into allegations that he belittled and bullied staff members. The school expected to go with an interim coach for 2025. After going to the first 4, St. Francis today announced it's dropping down from Division I to Division III. The transfer portal is popping, with North Carolina point guard Elliot Cadeau reportedly on the move, while Bennett Sturts is leaving Drake to follow coach Ben McCullum to Iowa. UNLV has found its new head coach, naming former Georgia Tech head coach Josh Pastner to the post. Jimmy Butler makes his return to Miami with the Warriors following his acrimonious departure from the Heat a month ago. Golden State currently 6th in the West with a game lead for the final guaranteed playoff spot. The Cavaliers put a halt to their longest skid of the season, snapping a 3-game slide with a win over the weekend, and continue their road trip tonight in Portland. With 11 games left, they already have the 3rd most wins in franchise history, while the Thunder go for their 7th in a row and look to extend their winning streak as they go for their 60th win tonight in Sacramento. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, this portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. I want to play one audio clip, and then we'll do a college football segment. Yes, I said college football, not basketball, in just a second. But this is Tom Izzo. He had a funny slip of the tongue when talking about the transfer portal.
We have some versatility. We can go big and go small. And yet that, too, takes work that I have to do every night instead of being in the urinal or portal. So that, too, takes work.
Now, I'm going to ask a serious question, and I'm going to preface it by saying I think it could be a dumb question. Do you think that was just a slip of the tongue, Samter? Or do you think that was intentional? Like he was kind of peeing on the portal, right, by calling it the urinal.
He is getting older. He might be at the urinal a lot more often than he used to be in his younger
Especially
days.
in the middle of the night, jeez.
In the middle of the night, a little trickle. So it's certainly possible he has urinal on the mind, but I think Izzo,
I think he just lost his words there.
No, I think Izzo's a smart guy. I think that he...
I think that's intentional.
I think that he kind of has called the portal the urinal before, and then maybe either intentionally, unintentionally, but I think that there is...
Peeing, dumping on the portal?
Yeah, I think there's a correlation that he has to urinal and portal.
Stu, well, what's your survey saying on that one?
I think it was purposeful because he was kind of like umming his way up into it. There was like 3 or 4 seconds where he was like kind of thinking of what to say, and then he said it.
The urinal, I mean the portal.
The urinal or portal.
You know what? I asked the question. I prefaced it by saying this could be a dumb question, and you two guys agree with me. I think we're 3 for 3 here.
Yeah, I think so.
We are the graphic on game day when we're all picking one team, and now it's like it ends up getting cold takes exposed. I think the way how quickly he said it, it just had like a little kind of, what's the word here? There was like not an accent on it, but there was like a sense of, yeah, wink, wink. I'm making a little jab at you.
We'll have to ask Hickey. If he agrees with us, then we're all screwed.
You know what? Go get Hickey. Bring Hickey in here real quickly and tell him to bring a jacket too, because some people are saying it's a little bit cold here in the studio and they have to run out before the update. You know, like what the heck are we doing? But I think Hickey could have the good saying here and he could be our good judge here. Now, I don't know how Hickey's going to hear this stuff. Oh, well, he could just put him in Axe seat, and then we could just put the headsets on him. But I'm really curious what Ryan Hot Take Hickey, who, by the way, got dragged on social media, by the way, this weekend. Did you see what Hickey did? He got dragged.
I did not. I don't think I did, at least.
He guaranteed that St. John's was going to be in the Final Four. Oh, you have headphones. Perfect. Professional. No, he has headphones. He's good. Oh, what, you can't switch the cameras? All right, go there. Traffic control. We don't want to mess up Stu. Actually, go there. No, I'm just kidding. You can sit down in that chair. So Ryan Hot Take Hickey is going to join us tomorrow. But real quickly, you got dragged on social media this past week, and you guaranteed St. John's is going to the Final Four. And we know that goes. They end up out in the round of 32.
Well,
got dragged by our guy Rico Bosco, Barstool Sports.
What can I say? You put yourself out there. I guess you're prone to criticism.
Is Hickey on camera, by the way? What's up with this mustache? I must ask you a question. What's going on here?
Just some bachelor party fun. That's all.
I wouldn't be walking around any schools, by the way. You get arrested.
I kind of like it actually. I mean, my girlfriend hates it, so I won't keep it. I would keep it
good for your girlfriend.
A little longer if I had my drudges.
You know I'm your biggest supporter around here. I'm your biggest critic, but I'm also your biggest supporter.
Gigantic butt coming here.
No, I'm being serious. You need to have a little bit more confidence. You're not
I feel like I have more confidence with the mustache.
You're not a bad-looking person, and you think you need to put that mustache on to make you look good.
I feel like from Seinfeld, Jerry, and George, I'm taking a vacation from myself.
Girlfriend not a fan of that mustache?
She hates it. I do feel more confident, honestly, with it. I like it. I might keep it. I'm gonna convince myself now.
This is your David Harbour era, honestly.
Oh, I'm gonna shave the sides again, get it clean shaven all the way, and just rock the stash for maybe all summer. Why not? Why the hell not?
So we're debating if this is intentional or unintentional.
Okay.
This is Tom Izzo. Is this him peeing on the portal, making a joke, or is this just an older coach losing his train of thought and a little slip of the tongue and the wrong thing came out?
Ooh.
Here is Tom Izzo.
We have some versatility. We can go big and go small. And yet that, too, takes work that I have to do every night instead of being in the urinal or portal. So that, too, takes work.
Do you think that was intentional? Is that a college coach just kind of shredding the portal by basically calling it the urinal?
I think that's Tom Izzo saying his best thoughts come at the urinal. For me, it's the shower. For other people, maybe it's the office. Maybe Tom thinks his best when he's just letting number one go. Maybe just posts up there for an hour and draws plays and thinks what works.
Can we be real, though? How much thinking's going on when you're taking a number one? I think there's more thinking when you're taking a number two.
Well, as you get older, right, the process usually takes longer. So I think you got more time there than you would think.
Have you been going to the bathroom a lot in the middle of the night?
No.
Okay, you haven't hit that stage of life yet. Neither have I.
30 years old.
Neither have I. Samter, as the eldest statesman
like
of the
a
show, how many
7-year-old
times do you get
problem.
up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom?
Zip.
Really?
I mean, I'm old. I'm not that old yet.
I'm sorry. I thought you at least getting up in the middle of the night once.
The prostate's still okay.
All right, Samter has a big bladder. Had no clue. Stu, you get up in the middle of the night?
No, very, 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 very rarely.
Do you guys drink a lot of water, by the way?
I do.
Do you not?
I do. I drink a ton of water.
I was going to say.
I know you
Hope
do.
so. Yeah, of course.
Samter? I don't
Gotta
usually
stay hydrated.
See, Samter, I don't usually see drink a lot of water. I see Samter always have like Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee that they have around here. And then Samter always has something interesting for lunch. You have a very, like, your digestive system, I fear for a little bit. The plumbing in your house, I fear for as well, because you always have something like crazy looking for lunch.
The plumbing inside my body, I have fear for also.
Yeah.
Just in general, I'm a mess. I know I eat terribly, but I drink a lot of water.
Stu, does it smell a little bit when you sit next to Samter?
Always smells
You
in
letting
here.
a few rip?
Not just
always.
smells, sounds constantly emanating from my body.
Yeah. By the way, what do you think about the temperature around here right now in this studio?
Me, cold.
It is cold, but like
66? No thanks.
But like, you could do a whole show in this temperature, right?
Well, especially my arms moving around, I kind of sweat more than just sitting here.
Okay.
Yes, I could.
Gotcha. All right.
Why do people complain?
No, just take an inventory around here.
Okay.
Just jotting things down. You know, Daly's in the YouTube chat. He keeps a lot of notes. I'm just keeping a little journal around here. By the way, do you think the YouTube chat is positive to your mustache right now? Two-Tone Tony says great hair.
Okay. So far, so good. Even though he's not going to talk about the stash, but
Bobby
we'll say all in
Buckwheat,
one. Okay.
Who I think his first positive comment, well, his next positive comment will be his first. Bobby Buckwheat says if Hick just grew out the mullet, he'd look better. Can you go mullet?
No,
I think
cannot.
the Hickey fade is iconic now at this point.
My hair kind of goes out, not down. The mullet in the back would not work.
Yeah. Bobby also says most hosts drink water and coffee, but Sheppenwolf drinks fresh deer blood. So there we go.
That's a new diet hack right there.
Yeah.
Put that in your summer list.
No one's killing you, really. Hickey looks like this is from Daly. Hickey looks like an old-timey Western barkeeper. Yeah, I could see that. If you put the flannel on and the boots and... See, but you're not a big hat guy, right?
No, of course not.
Because you mess up the hair.
Of course.
See,
put a lot of time and effort into this hair.
Let me let you in a little secret. If Hickey ever shows up to the studio in a hat, can we be real? Means you drank a little bit the night before. Means you're a little bit hungover.
No.
Absolutely. If you're showing up in a hat, that means you're a little sluggish, you didn't have time to do the hair, and you were hungover.
It's laziness, 1,000,000%. Or sometimes if I let my hair go too
How
long,
long
it
does it
doesn't
take you
look
to do your
great.
hair?
Well, it depends. It's 5 minutes. It depends. I mean, if the longer the hair goes,
Yeah,
the more
how long?
work it takes.
Average.
It could be like 3 minutes probably.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't want to do it for 3 minutes. Sometimes I
Gotcha.
just want to just put the hat on and say I'm done. Lazy. Now, listen, I can take laziness to the extreme level.
Sometimes I don't want to do it for 3 minutes. We got a new drop for Hickey.
I will say, Billy Wolf, call Hickey for free mustache rides.
Who wants a mustache ride?
Maybe that's why his girlfriend doesn't like it. Alrighty, we'll take a time out. And it's the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. College football coaches with the most to prove coming up next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
All righty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I think we're on to something because I had two friends text me during the break, and they both agreed that they thought Tom Izzo's comments were intentional about the transfer portal. And he called it the urinal, and he goes, I mean the transfer portal. So I had two friends text me during the break saying they were listening to the show, and they said, you're right, Stu's right, Samter's right. And then one other friend chimed in, and he said, Hick at Night is channeling his inner 70s porn star. That's what he's doing, as Ryan Hot to Hickey is now walking around the newsroom with a mustache. And he's keeping that thing. What did you think of the Hickey mustache? Just wondering, Stu, because you have good facial hair.
The mustache, it's by itself, is not something I can pull off, but I think it works for Hickey.
Really? So
Yes.
that's Stu being nice. All right, let's go to someone who's a little bit meaner. Samter, what did you think of the Hickey mustache?
He definitely is about to buy a axe-throwing gym and brew his own kombucha at home while making artisanal pretzels in his backyard while wearing flannels and jeans that are way too small.
Lot of syllables right there.
Yeah, he's very Brooklyn hipster with that mustache and slicked over hair, shaved on the side.
I don't
he
know.
Looks ridiculous.
He came off to me as like a little bit more like farming and country there, Hickey, rather than Brooklyn hipster.
Well, so Brooklyn hipster kind of channels that like farming thing, right? The axe throwing, the brewing your own stuff, the growing things in your own garden.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of making your own pretzels. It's very that Brooklyn feel, that like artisanal kind of. It's very kind of channel.
Yeah.
It's new age channeling the farmer of the Midwest.
If Hickey just walked in the studio and I never met him, instead of just saying like, oh, he's on a farm or something, I would say, did you just walk the beach with Aaron Rodgers? That's what I would think. He has the very Aaron Rodgers mustache vibe, put like a blanket over yourself and walk across a beach. He also said he was cold, so, the blanket fits into it.
He looks more like the creepy guy who's taking the pictures of Aaron Rodgers from like a mile away and zooming in with the lens.
No, if you told me Hickey like would hang out with Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't be shocked. When he has the mustache. Any other time, I think I would not believe it, but Hickey with the mustache absolutely looks like he could hang with Aaron Rodgers. I couldn't imagine Hickey, though, on ayahuasca. I could imagine Hickey drunk, because we've seen it, right? Walking out of the Rose Bowl, that irrelevant game that Penn State won. No big deal, no big deal, no big deal. Who was the quarterback? Sean Clifford, 7 years, no big deal. Like Hickey drunk, I could understand. Hickey high, I don't know. I just can't envision that one. I think Hickey would be very paranoid and he'd be in a bed in like 30 seconds and just like with a blanket asking his girlfriend to basically like sing him to sleep, pretty much. So that's how I envision that. Anyway, there was a list that was recently put out, and it was by Ari Wasserman. It does a great job covering college football for On3 Sports. And at first, I thought the list was college football coaches under the most pressure and entering the season. But the list is actually college football coaches with the most to prove in 2025. Brian Kelly is in at 10. James Franklin is in at 9. Dabo Swinney is in at 8. Mike Norvell in at 7. Kalen DeBoer in at 6. Luke Fickell in at 5. Brent Venables in at 4. Lincoln Riley in at 3. Hugh Freeze in at 2. Billy Napier in at 1. Now, looking at all 10 of these coaches, Brian Kelly is under an enormous amount of pressure because LSU has a ton of resources, and LSU has had a lot of great players the last few years. And even though he's won a lot of games, when you are Brian Kelly and you have seen LSU with 3 different coaches since 2000 win national championships with Nick Saban, with Les Miles, and Ed Orgeron, go Tigers. You left Notre Dame to go win a national championship. You didn't think at Notre Dame you could win a national championship. And even though you got to a national championship game once at Notre Dame, we just saw Marcus Freeman get to one this year. So Brian Kelly, it's not aging well for him to leave Notre Dame and go to LSU. James Franklin's under a tremendous amount of pressure. Not in like pressure to lose his job, but he has a lot to prove because he hasn't been able to win the big game yet. And already a lot of people are saying Penn State's a top 3 team. They could be the best team entering this season in college football, even with after losing Abdul Carter and Tyler Warren. You return your quarterback. You got the running backs coming back. There's a lot of high expectations for James Franklin. Dabo Swinney in at 8. I don't think Dabo has a lot to prove. Like, sure, they just won the ACC again. I look at Dabo and I say, until you totally start to embrace the transfer portal, I don't think you're going to win a championship. And I mean a national championship again. So, for me, I'm at that point where I just know what Dabo has done, and it's incredible, but I don't think we're going to see Dabo win another national championship until he totally embraces the portal. So, I guess it's another year he could prove it, but Dabo could sell it, hey, I just won an ACC championship again, when everyone told me I was basically left for dead. Mike Norvell has a lot to prove because, right, they got screwed out of the college football playoff, you could claim, and then You live and die by the portal. The portal blew up in your face last year, and you're one of the worst teams in the country. Kalen DeBoer, there were great highs last year, and then there were terrible lows. They got to make the college football playoff bare minimum next year. Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell and Wisconsin, that's been rather blah for what it was supposed to be. I thought Luke Fickell was a tremendous fit for Wisconsin. We've seen him there. It's only been 2 seasons. 7-6, 5-7. This is a big year 3 for Luke Fickell. And, compare Luke Fickell to another coach in the Big Ten, right? That's a big name coach, goes to a program. And you look at Nebraska, for example. 2 years in with Matt Rule, year 1, they missed the bowl game. Year 2, they get to a bowl game and they win it. Now they have something tangible to hold on to, though, with the quarterback in Dylan Raiola. I'd rather much be Nebraska entering this football season than Wisconsin. Brent Venables. Brent Venables was supposed to be all that, right? Like waiting to take the right job. Stayed with Dabo for years, and it's just been ugly at Oklahoma. But he just got an extension, so I don't think he's in danger of losing his job. Lincoln Riley, everything I've said about him has been proven to be true. People talk about him like he's the greatest coach of all time. I've always said he's overrated. I think he's a good, very good coach. Hey, the Heisman Trophy winners, the appearances at Oklahoma in the college football playoff are unbelievable. He's never won a playoff game. And at USC, he has not been successful. Hugh Freeze. Now, when I look at Hugh Freeze and I'm seeing where he is, and I know that he just had a health issue recently, so I hope everything's okay with Hugh Freeze. But I saw that I'm reading an article from today. Hugh Freeze feels great after a cancer diagnosis, but it's a battle mentally. I hope everything's all right with Hugh Freeze, obviously. So it's weird to talk about a coach when he's going on with things in his personal life, but this is just the way that it goes, and this is the job that he's in. I always said, and I didn't think Hugh Freeze was a bad hire at Auburn whatsoever. But when Auburn got rid of Gus Malzahn and they ended up taking the Boise State coach, I didn't think that was a better move. I didn't. And then when Hugh Freeze was hired, I said this, why not Coach Prime? Like if I was Auburn, I would have hired Coach Prime. I remember saying that at the time. And that was before we saw what Coach Prime did this year. 6-7, 5-7. That's not good enough for Auburn. With Gus Malzahn, I was like, oh, yeah, we just get 8-9 wins. I mean, occasionally beat Alabama. But now what the heck are you at with the school that's in the SEC and 6-7, 5-7 is unacceptable? You have a bad year. I think you're gone as that head football coach. So Billy Napier. Who would have thought Billy Napier would have been back at Florida? Now, yeah, the AD come out with an endorsement because I don't think they wanted to lose DJ Lagway. And that's what this is all riding on. And they actually won some games down the stretch. But yeah, Billy Napier, once the toothpaste is out of the tube and people start to doubt you and don't believe in your college football, it's very tough to win them back over. I know Billy Napier did that at the end of the season, but it's different in just doing it for a month rather than the course of a full season. So according to Ari Wasserman, those are the 10 college football coaches with the most to prove in 2025. Billy Napier 1, Hugh Freeze 2, Lincoln Riley 3, Brent Venables 4, Luke Fickell 5, Kalen DeBoer 6, Mike Norvell 7, Dabo Swinney 8, James Franklin 9, Brian Kelly 10. Stu, who's the coach that you look at most to prove this upcoming season in college football?
I think it's Lincoln Riley. We saw the success he had at Oklahoma those 5 years, but at USC, 11-1, 8-5, 7-6. That's 26-14. Some of that also was with Caleb Williams, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does and if he can, get it turned around. And they're in the Big Ten now, so that adds to it, to the difficulty level.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly have kind of both been similar. Big name coaches, a lot on the resume. They've had the Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. And Brian Kelly, right, hasn't won a national championship. Lincoln Riley hasn't won a college football playoff game. Caleb Williams, you didn't even get to a college football playoff. With Jaden Daniels, didn't even get to a college football playoff. The defenses both have been absolutely horrific. I think there's a lot of similarities there with Stinking Lincoln and also Brian Kelly, too. Who is yours, Samter?
I was initially going to go with Brian Kelly.
Oh, okay.
But then as we kind of readjusted how we were going to frame this, the most to prove, I'm actually going to switch it and go with Kalen DeBoer. When you're following the all-time greatest coach and the first year that you're there after making the college football playoff championship game. You go to Alabama. You're following Saban, and the playoff expands to 12 teams, and you miss the playoffs.
No.
Kalen DeBoer didn't have a bad season, but all the questions that people had about him.
I couldn't say I'm the biggest Kalen DeBoer supporter there is on national radio. You can't say that he was successful in year one. You know, like I know how he didn't have a bad season. I get what you're saying,
right.
But and I love Kalen DeBoer, and I believe that he's going to do a great job at Alabama. But let's just call it how it is. For that year to be a success, they needed to make the college football playoff. Did they have a big win up against Georgia? Absolutely. You know, you get a mulligan even when you lost to Vanderbilt. And what happened at the end with Oklahoma was inexcusable. Even I know Tennessee's a good football team that made the playoff, but Jalen Milroe was absolutely lost in that game up against Tennessee. You get mulligans in a 12-team playoff. And the bumpers are almost up for a school like Alabama in a 12-team playoff to just get in. I never said, and I thought Alabama had a chance before the start of the season to get to a national championship. I picked Georgia up against Alabama. I thought Alabama was being slept on. And everything I thought on, I think it was September 28th, if memory serves me right, when they played Georgia, it was the end of September, and they won that game, I'm like, wow, I'm going to be right in Alabama. But the problem was that ended up being the highlight of their season. And even with the loss to Tennessee, they were still able to control their own destiny because everyone was crapping the bed last year and stubbing the toe and getting back up and falling back down again. And then they had the Oklahoma game happen. They needed to make the playoff last year. They needed to in year one. If they would have made the playoff, no one is really criticizing Kalen DeBoer going into this year. Sure, he didn't win a championship. He's not Saban. But I think people that are fair and rational would have realized with DeBoer, you make the playoff, can't really crush a guy in year one. You know, just make the playoff. And they make the playoff. So I think you're fair, Santer, because if you miss the playoff again, this is not South Harmon Institute of Technology, right? This is Alabama. You know, this is not Temple. This is not, whatever school that's just happy to be in the mix. You know, you look at it, even Boise State, right, who is so well accomplished. And they didn't win their opening round game up against Penn State. But you don't just celebrate Alabama just getting in. But in year one, you just needed to get in. Now in year two, you better get in. Because if you don't, I'm not saying he's going to get fired. I don't believe he'll get fired after 2 years. But you will lose that fan base. Because that fan base is used to winning championships. Now, you don't have to win a championship right away. Like, look at Duke with John Shire post Coach K. Now, they've had 3 years here. And, got a little leeway in the beginning with some good teams that didn't get the job done. Now, anything short of winning a championship this year for Duke in basketball, it's unacceptable. So you get a little bit of a leash here, Kalen DeBoer. And, hey, I'm as big of a DeBoer fan as there is. Hand up. I love the guy. I think he's a tremendous coach. And I've known him for years. Tremendous dude. But you need to make if they don't make the playoff this year, I couldn't imagine that. Seriously. Alabama in a 12-team playoff missing it 2 years in a row. So I think you're onto something, Santer. I don't think you're far off whatsoever.
And like you, I'm a big DeBoer guy, but when you have shoes to fill, you have first impression is a huge thing, right? Mm-hmm. It would have been better, I think, for him to have good success in the first year and then tailed off after that than to fail in the first year and then get better after that.
So I just think he needed to weather the storm.
Yes, and I don't think he's doing that yet.
Yeah.
Which is why he has so much to prove this year. Because if he misses it again, then he's basically entering year 3 on the hot seat.
Now, let's be real. If you miss the playoffs 2 years in a row, you had the storm come through your town and unfortunately damage some homes. That's just the reality of the situation. And you better be able to rebuild back up quickly. My coach with the most to prove in 2025, it's Franklin. Because you just had Ryan Day, right? Who has just been abused by Michigan. But Ryan Day has not lost a lot of games. Ryan Day has been a national championship before, at least. Before this year when he won the national championship. So Ryan Day just had the world basically against him. His lowest of moments losing to Michigan again, and that team got back off the mat in that same season and won 4 straight games, and they won a national championship. James Franklin enters this year with a tremendous amount of talent. And last year they had a tremendous amount of talent. And I know I picked Notre Dame to beat Penn State, but you should have defeated Notre Dame. You should have been in the national championship game, going up against Ohio State, and then we'll see if you could have beat Ohio State. But now you get your quarterback back, who needs to be better. He was god-awful up against Notre Dame. And I didn't crush James Franklin for losing that game to Notre Dame. I crushed his quarterback. You got a lot of weapons around him, too. I know you lose Carter. I know you lose Warren. But people go into the season talking about Penn State as a top 3 team. Some people say they're top 2. Some people say they're number 1. It's time to win a big game. And don't tell me SMU, and no offense, I love Boise State. Boise State are big game victories for James Franklin. James Franklin needs to win a big game. James Franklin, if you're not winning a championship this year at Penn State, when? So that's why I think James Franklin has the most to prove. All righty, who's a coach of college football that has the most to prove this year? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Cam Hayward says the Steelers have urgency. Who are some teams in win-now mode in the NFL? We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. The other day, Cam Hayward made it clear that the Steelers have urgency. So let's fire up a little NFL music right here. And Stu's going to give me a few teams here, and I'm going to tell you if they're in win now mode or not. Go ahead.
The Baltimore Ravens.
We're good there?
The Baltimore Ravens.
One more time, sorry. I didn't hear it. The Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, they're in win now mode because you have Lamar Jackson. With the way that Lamar Jackson plays, it's funny. Lamar doesn't take a lot of hits, but he exposes his body a lot, but he does a good job in not getting hit a ton, but he's running the ball so much. So even though Lamar is at an elite level and hasn't suffered a ton of catastrophic injuries, you wonder how many more elite years he could play like this. And Lamar has been better passing the football. We see the passing touchdown numbers through the years just only augment. But yeah, absolutely the Ravens are win now mode because you got it to a point where we've seen you in an AFC Championship game. This year you guys regressed, losing the divisional round, going down to Buffalo. Didn't even get a chance to lose to Kansas City. And you are absolutely in an opportunity where you better go get a championship from now until 4 years, because if you don't, then you'll be sitting there like the 49ers saying, oh, you're SOL. So yeah, Ravens in win now mode.
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Absolutely. Trey Hendrickson or not, you're paying Joe Burrow what you're paying him. Jamar Chase, top of the line money. T. Higgins, big time wide receiver number 2 money. And you've already been to a Super Bowl, and then since then it's regressed. Yeah, you're in win now mode. You better go win a championship soon.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, no, I can't say they're in win now mode. They don't have a quarterback. And even if they get Aaron Rodgers, are we sitting there, are we saying, oh, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a threat? No, you're saying, no, they can maybe win a playoff game with Aaron Rodgers. So I don't think the Steelers are in win now mode. I actually think the best thing for the Steelers would actually to finally have a season where you're in the bottom of the barrel. So you could rip off the Band-Aid and you go get a franchise quarterback, because now you're doing all these stopgaps and you brought in Russell Wilson. You tried Justin Fields, Mason Rudolph, Duck Hodges, Kenny Pickett. It's like you've never been able to really find your guy after Big Ben. And even if you get Aaron Rodgers, that's still not your guy for the foreseeable future, because Rodgers has, maybe a year or two at most, probably a year left in the NFL. So I can't say the Steelers are win now mode.
The Buffalo Bills.
1,000%. You have the quarterback. The quarterback, to me, is the second best quarterback in the NFL. He's played well in big games, even though he hasn't been able to win them. But Buffalo is a team that how many times can you keep on getting back to the well and not actually drinking before, right, you just look at yourself and you just say, okay, this is never going to happen. Buffalo, they're in their 49ers era right now, and they better connect within the next year, 2 or 3. The difference is the Bills have a quarterback like you just saw this year that you could retool and still have great success, where if you look at the 49ers, there's still a lot of questions to be answered about Brock Purdy.
The Dallas Cowboys.
No, they're not in win now mode. Yeah, sure, they're paying CeeDee Lamb big money. They're paying Dak Prescott big money. Coming up soon, they'll be paying Micah Parsons big money. But how about the rest of the team? Team's just not good enough. And you're chasing the Eagles in your own division, plus the Commanders. You're lucky the Giants can't get out of their own way, or else you'd probably be the 4th team in this division. Jerry Jones isn't also focused on win now. He's not. Last year, they were all in. My ass. As Skip Bayless would say. Pause, pause, pause. I got to probably still put the pause in there. They were all in. Pause, 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 comma, 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 comma. My ass, right? That's what they were. They weren't all in last year. And then this year, they were going to be selectively aggressive, and they haven't really made a move that makes me say, wow. I got to take the Cowboys seriously. That's a team that it's all about clicks. They're not all about winning. All they're about is clicks, 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 clicks. So I can't say that the Cowboys are winning now.
The San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah. They have another year or two to get this done. And I think they've lost a lot this year that makes me question how good they're going to be. I think they're still closer to missing the playoffs than they are to winning a Super Bowl. But if you tell me that they win the NFC West this year, I can't tell you that's totally crazy. I do believe it will be the Rams. And if you tell me that they get into the playoffs as a wild card, I'm not going to say that they're an easy out. They're going through what the Bills just did this past year. But as I said, Buffalo has Josh Allen. You have Brock Purdy. So now Brock Purdy doesn't have Deebo Samuel. And you lost other pieces on the offense and defense. You still have Ayuk for now. McCaffrey, how healthy is he going to be? You still got Kittle. So this is a team. The Niners, to me, they're an old fighter, right? That have been so close. But they haven't been able to break through and deliver that knockout punch, even though there's times it looks like they're going to hit that knockout punch. You got another year or two to see if you can hit that knockout punch, or else there's going to need to be even more changes than there already are with the 49ers. But they're still in win-now mode because of what they've done the last few years.
The Detroit Lions.
Absolutely. This is a team that is in win-now mode. Dan Campbell is biting off kneecaps. The last 2 years, they've been successful. Right? 2 years ago, they made it to the NFC Championship game. They gagged away that game. This past year, they had a remarkable season in the regular season. The postseason, coming off the bye, they just got beat by the Commanders. But this is a team, you got a 2 to 4 year window, and you better get the job done because that fan base deserves it.
The Miami Dolphins.
No. They got a good team on paper. Tua's a solid quarterback. Tyreek Hill, I think he'll bounce back this year. You got Jalen Waddle. That defense, though, has a lot of guys that are coming off injuries, too. I don't trust the coach either. I think the coach has been vastly overrated, and he's been exposed within the last year. I do not think that the Dolphins are in win-now mode. I think that's a team that went all in, and they didn't create a good enough product for me to say that that team can go on a deep run. They haven't even won a playoff game with this core yet. So, no, I don't think the Dolphins are in win-now mode.
The Houston Texans.
I think this is the toughest one because they have the quarterback. You have Nico Collins. You got 2 elite edge rushers in Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. You play in an easy-peasy division where Tennessee doesn't have their damn act together. The Colts forget about it. They don't have a quarterback. And Jacksonville has been a rotating door for coaches. So you should win the division. You could win a playoff game, but can you get to an AFC championship game? And you just got rid of Laramie Tunsil, which I think that move, as Seth Payne kind of said to us, they were tired of his lack of commitment. They were tired of the penalties and the laziness, even though he's a remarkable player, and they got rid of him. So it's tough for me to still say they're in win-now mode when you lose a player like Laramie Tunsil, but they have the quarterback, and if you could just put together an average offensive line, they should be good. So I do think the Texans, with DeMeco Ryan, C.J. Stroud, Danielle Hunter, and Will Anderson, yeah, I do think they're in win-now mode, but they got to go put this team over the top. They had an aggressive offseason last year. You know, I like the move of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That was a good move, but this is a team that you better strike when it's hot, and I'm still debating if they're just a good team or if they could be a great team.
The Green Bay Packers.
I don't think people are going to like this answer. I don't think the Packers are in win-now mode. I think the Packers are just being good mode. Like, Jordan Love is a good young quarterback. If they were in win-now mode, though, and I know, right, with Rodgers, we said this for years, oh, you got Devontae Adams, go get a number 2 wide receiver. How about get a number 1 wide receiver in Green Bay? They have still failed to get a number 1 wide receiver. You have a multitude of guys. You have a bevy of guys, but none of those guys have taken the baton and run with it. I've been disappointed with Green Bay this offseason. I thought a reunion with Devontae Adams should have happened. Why not trade for DK Metcalf? But Gutekunst hasn't elected to do so. I think this is a team that they're good. They could win their 9, 10, 11 games. But it feels like that this team's stealing until they go get a number one wide receiver, and a bona fide number one wide receiver is just going to be getting into the postseason, maybe winning a playoff game, and then you're going on home. So I do not think the Packers are in win now mode right now. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll come on back. We will talk about Andrew Luck and Stanford, and we will also get back into the Browns' dilemma with the second overall pick. But let's take a break right now, and let's get the latest sports flash in with Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, Andrew Luck is a busy man because Stanford is now looking for a new football coach with Troy Taylor fired after 2 seasons. The move comes following an investigation into allegations of bullying and verbally abusing staff members. Luck said they needed a reset for the program and will likely go with an interim coach in 2025. Another coaching vacancy has been filled in college basketball, with UNLV naming former Georgia Tech head coach Josh Pastner, while Bennett Sturts is following Ben McCollum to Iowa, leaving Drake after 1 season, just as his head coach did. Elliot Cadeau reportedly leaving North Carolina after 2 seasons, entering the transfer portal, and McNeese replaces Will Wade with Baylor assistant Bill Armstrong. A week after playing in the first 4, St. Francis announced it's moving down from Division I to Division III. The Mariners and Cal Raleigh reportedly come to terms on a 6-year extension worth $105 million, while Diamondbacks left-hander Jordan Montgomery is headed for Tommy John surgery. Jimmy Butler back in Miami for the first time since the acrimonious divorce from the Heat last month. The Warriors come to town, currently 6th in the West. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. We're from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God, we're back again.
Alrighty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. So there was this photo that came out yesterday of Coach Prime talking at a conference, and you know, the quote was something along the lines of that he just wants, they're hoping that Shedeur goes to New York. So since then, Coach Prime said that he never said that, and it was a bunch of lies. So I am trying to figure out what is real here. I'm going to tend to believe Coach Prime because I would think if you're at a conference, a mega conference like this, we would see video of it before. You know, we'd see video of it by now. And like, we've seen people go to conferences, and right, you always got to know that there could be someone recording, right? And you always got to think that someone's recording. But like I spoke at a conference 2 weeks ago, and I was telling a story, right? And I'm talking to college broadcasters, and you're telling a story, and maybe you get a little bit more than normal because you're in a setting like that in a very engaging group. And I saw like one of the stories got posted out there. I was like, not that it's the end of the world, but it's like I didn't like, I knew that things were getting recorded, but I didn't know that they were going to be necessarily posted right away. And hey, hand up, shame on me. It wasn't anything crazy, to be clear, but I'm just telling a story about, you know, parts of my career and things like that. So that's me, right? Zach Gelb, little old me. We're talking about Coach Prime. We're talking about Deion Sanders. We're talking about one of the biggest personalities in sports right now. If Coach Prime said that they're hoping for New York when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, I don't know about you, Samter. Don't you think this video would not only be out right now, but it'd be blasted all over the internet instead of just a quote of the video.
Yes, and even if there is not video available, there would be other reporters or other people corroborating what was said. Now, listen, sometimes people say things in a corner of a room after they're up on stage. Maybe they say it in private to somebody, but if it's said at an event, there will either be video, audio, or at least backup people to corroborate. We're getting none of that, so I'm starting to think. And here's the thing about Deion. Deion knows how to work the media. If he's saying this is a lie, at the very least, he knows that it was not said in a way that is being portrayed.
Yeah, that's fair with how you say it. And like, could it be something? I don't want to say taken out of context, but like, could there have been maybe a misleading question where he was asked directly, like, if you got to pick where Shedeur was going to get drafted, where would it be? And he's like, oh, New York. I think that doesn't mean that he don't want to go to Cleveland. That doesn't mean he didn't want to go to Tennessee. But it's like asking, like, hey, Zach, for dinner tonight, would you rather have a cheeseburger, steak, or would you rather have fried chicken, right? Zach, which one would you rather have? And if I go out there and say I'd rather have a cheeseburger, it doesn't mean I don't like the fried chicken or I don't like the steak. It's just which one would you rather prefer? But in this case, I think that the way that this was thrown out there, or at least the way that I consumed it, Samter, it was a photo of him at the event and then a quote. How many times now do we see photos on the internet with a quote and someone actually never said that? This to me isn't, how many times do athletes, right, something they say something, they go, oh, take it out of context. I was like, no, this is what you said. Nothing was taken out of context. I just don't believe that Coach Prime actually said this. And maybe I'll be wrong, but it feels like that this is just starting to be a thing that was used for clicks yesterday. Because here's the other thing. Now you could monetize yourself on social media, right? If you get a certain amount of clicks on Twitter and Instagram, you could get paid by them, right? Like I've received paychecks from X for content that I've posted. I don't know, they're not big checks, to be clear. You know, not big checks. Business ain't booming that much when it comes to us on the tweeter, right? But it's now sometimes because people can make money, they put out things there that are absolutely outlandish just because it will get clicks and right, parody accounts, things like that, and people will end up making money. But I don't think... See, here's the other thing, too. And I'm curious on your thoughts about this, Mike. Let's say Coach Prime didn't say this. But let's say it's true in terms of he doesn't want his son to go to Cleveland. We haven't heard Coach Prime really be outspoken. He's used that as a threat, right, before? You know, he's not been afraid to similarities, him and the Manning family, right? So if Coach Prime hasn't, and if this is true, it changes the whole game. But if Coach Prime hasn't felt the need yet to speak up, and let's give him the benefit of the doubt that this is a bunch of lies. And if, hey, we have egg on our face tomorrow, we have egg on our face tomorrow. But if this happens so far where Coach Prime hasn't said any of this, do you feel like it's either more so he's good with them going to Cleveland, or he doesn't think it's necessary to speak up and speak out about not wanting to go to Cleveland because he doesn't think the Browns are taking his kid yet?
I've heard enough quotes from Shedeur and from Coach Prime over the past 3 months where they legitimately sound convincing that they don't care if he goes to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right?
He said that he plays with the Browns and Madden. He loves playing with the Browns and Madden, Shedeur.
Yeah. I mean,
not that's the end-all be-all, but...
No, but I mean, like, I've
heard...
like
Stu and Gallagher ready to play a game of Madden.
I've heard Shedeur say, I don't care where I go. I've heard Deion say multiple times on social media and in person, I don't care where he goes. So I don't think that it matters to him if it's the Titans, the Giants, or the Browns. Maybe they prefer one or the other, but they'd be fine with all three.
I think it's more so, and I have no problem with Cleveland whatsoever. And I don't think the Giants are this wonderful destination. Like, at least you have Malik Neighbors. That's nice. But I think that if you ask Shedeur and you say, okay, Cam Ward isn't falling to 2 or 3. He's going 1, right? Because I'm sure everyone will want to be the number 1 pick. Shedeur wants to be the number 1 pick. But I think Shedeur is at a point where he realizes, hey, Cam's going to be number 1 pick to Tennessee. That's just the feeling of it. So, if you ask Shedeur, would you rather go to Cleveland or the Giants, and both don't really have much to sell you on, wouldn't you rather go to New York than Cleveland for one reason and one reason only? And this is not me poo-pooing on Cleveland. This is not like, oh, it's the location. Oh, it's the marketing. Oh, it's Shedeur Sanders, they could put him on Mars and he get a marketing deal. All right? I don't think just being in New York anymore is as powerful as it was 20 years ago. All right? Let's be clear on that. But I think when you look at a quarterback, what do quarterbacks want? Good offensive lines, a good running back, and good wide receivers, right? Well, Cleveland's offensive line used to be really good. Took a hit last year. The Giants' offensive line stinks. So it's not like you're significantly winning on either offensive line right now. Running backs, Tyrone Tracy Jr. just had a solid season, but I don't think that's like a major selling point. Nick Chubb, banged up. Is he even going to be back in Cleveland? So I look at the options, and you look at the Giants wide receiving room. We've already seen Malik Neighbors and Shedeur Sanders. I've never seen this before. He wasn't even a Heisman Trophy finalist. Now, his teammate was. He's out in the streets of New York City throwing a football to Malik Neighbors. What are the Browns really selling you on? Now, I know they have Jerry Jeudy. He's a solid player, Jerry Jeudy. But who would you rather have, Jerry Jeudy or Malik Neighbors? Well, Jerry Jeudy finally had his breakout season in the NFL this past year. And Jerry Jeudy's stats, just to compare him to Malik Neighbors, Jerry Jeudy this past year had 90 receptions. Malik Neighbors had 109. Jerry Jeudy had 1,229 yards. Malik Neighbors had 1,204 yards. So Jerry Jeudy got him in the yards. Touchdowns, Jerry Jeudy 4. Malik Neighbors 7. Malik Neighbors is also 21. Jerry Jeudy is not old. He's 25. And turns 26 next month. I think it's that. I think if you're telling me pick between Cleveland or the Giants, not that either, and you ain't going to the Ritz-Carlton or the Fontainebleau, all right? These are 1-star hotels right now, maybe 2-star hotels. They'll keep the lights on for you, all right? Hopefully they have a good continental breakfast buffet the next morning. But if I ask you guys right now, you're Shedeur, would you rather be the 2nd overall pick of the draft or the 3rd overall pick of the draft? What do you say, Stu?
I'd rather be on the Giants, so 3rd in that case.
Why, though? Just wondering. Is it because of Neighbors?
It's mostly because of Neighbors, yeah.
Samter?
I'll go with the Browns. You got a 2-time Coach of the Year, Myles Garrett on that defense. Mm-hmm. The Giants. We think about the Browns being a bleep show. The Giants have been a bleep show for quite a while.
Yeah, well, both of them have been.
Yeah.
And both of them probably in all likelihood, and I like Stefanski. I think he's an underrated coach, 2-time Coach of the Year award winner. Both probably going to have miserable seasons this year and probably bringing in new coaches anyway next year. And maybe new GMs too.
I think that I guess now that Dayball's back, if they draft a quarterback, he's coming back for at least one more year. But if they don't,
I don't even know about that. We thought that with Eberflus too.
I know, but you can't follow what the Bears did and make that same mistake again. To let a lame duck coach come back for one more year, draft the quarterback of the future, and then get rid of him no.
And also, Eberflus isn't an offensive guy.
Right.
Dayball is, but I don't think that it's a guarantee just because I think it improves your chances. But I don't think you're a lock to come on back next year. Put it this way. Berry and Stefanski compared to Shane and Dayball. Shane and Dayball are more on the hot seat than Berry and Stefanski. Both seats are warm.
That's kind of my point, yes. Mm-hmm. I think so.
I'd rather go to the Giants because Neighbors. I do. That would just be me. All righty, real quickly. I know this is, it's tough to throw in real quickly. But Stanford is resetting their football program with their head coach, Troy Taylor. Andrew Luck is now their general manager. When I first saw this statement, a statement from Stanford general manager Andrew Luck, and it was a long statement, I'm like, is Andrew Luck retiring again? This is what is he resigning from this position? But obviously a serious investigation has had to be happened after multiple employees filed complaints against the head football coach, now ex-head football coach Taylor, for what they called hostile and aggressive behavior, as well as personal attacks, reports said. The school hired Kate Weaver Patterson of KWP Consulting to investigate in spring of 2023. After the first investigation, Taylor signed a warning letter on February 14, 2024, so not that long ago, a year ago, acknowledging he could be fired if conduct continued. According to the documents, additional complaints were documented in a second investigation that ended last July 24th, but Taylor remained on the job. The second investigation cited evidence that is an ongoing pattern of concerning behavior by Coach Taylor. It was included that last June and July by Timothy O'Brien, senior counsel for Olivia O'Brien, Kingsley and Champion law firm in Maine. O'Brien, who has advised several Division I and Power 5 programs, said in his report that he has never encountered this palpable level of animosity and disdain for a university compliance office. Even during the interview with me, when we talked about compliance issues, Coach Taylor's tone was forceful and aggressive, O'Brien wrote. So he also called Taylor's treatment of the team's compliance officers inappropriate, discriminatory on the basis of her sex, saying it had a significant negative impact on the staffer. O'Brien concluded that Taylor retaliated against the compliance staffer by seeking her removal from her assigned duties after she raised concerns about the NCAA rules violations related to the illegal practices and player eligibility. So that's what happened. Obviously, they kept him around for a while. And now they said today, and the timing of this, but it shows you the seriousness of the investigation, March 25th, weird time to be looking for a new head football coach. So he's out, and they did their investigation, and this is what they found. And it seems like, according to what I read, that he got multiple chances to stop what he was doing. And it doesn't seem like he ever stopped what he was doing. So it's like if you tell someone to stop doing something, regardless of how minor or significant it may be, and they keep on not listening to you, you don't just keep on letting that person stay there, and eventually Andrew Luck said enough is enough. Now, I will say this. I don't think Stanford has a lot to sell themselves on. But in this era of name, image, and likeness, and you have a big name in there like Andrew Luck, who is a very smart dude, I wonder what kind of coach they're going to be able to attract. And if Stanford football doesn't make an exciting hire here, and it doesn't have to be right away, be meticulous. They don't make an exciting hire. And I know Stanford could be tough to sell, but you could win there. We saw what Harbaugh did. We saw what David Shaw did. If you don't make an exciting hire about, at Stanford, then it's going to be like one of those things where it's like, where's the football program really going? But having Luck could be a tremendous resource. So Andrew Luck makes his first big move, getting rid of Troy Taylor after multiple investigations and multiple times being told you need to stop doing something. And obviously the coach, according to the reports, didn't listen, and you heard about the aggressive tone. All righty, that will do it for the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Big thanks to Stu Pak. Sniffle Stu. Hopefully you feel a little bit better. Get some tea with some honey. And big thank you to Samter as well, Ack as well, for the wonderful updates that he gave us all throughout the day. And a big thank you to each and every one of you for listening and watching the show. And we appreciate Chris Beard stopping on by. Matt Jones will join us tomorrow from KY Sports Radio with Kentucky in the Sweet 16. We'll also maybe have a few more surprises throughout the day. But we'll talk to you on a Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. Have a great night, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.